All right, happy Friday or Monday. I'm getting all my Y's mixed up again. Sorry about that. I even wrote it in the chat to make sure it reminded me that it's Monday. But hey, happy Monday. We're a little late tonight. Schedules get a little loopy. Valev will not be with us tonight. He has a gig that he has to be a part of, so he will be missing out on tonight's session of Faerun Reborn. So if you're first time here visiting, listening, hang out and watch a potential TPK, because we say that every single time just to kind of keep people on their toes.
I mean, we might die.
Hey Tusk, you changed your camera. You gotta love it when he does that to me.
He moves his camera on you.
Yeah, he always moves it. He can never leave it alone, can he?
He's a worse fidget than I am.
Yeah, he is.
And that's saying something.
Yeah. Wrong way, dude.
And Kai's camera is off tonight because she is having technical issues with with their laptop. But as always, we got Arena with us, Gulshaw. Derek is back from his
oh my goodness, Derek, did he tell you what happened to me?
I saw what happened to you.
You watched? Oh my gosh. I mean, yay!
Congratulations.
We'll see. You've gone emo today. Might delete.
I got emo.
Yeah.
Emo Arena.
Emo Arena?
That's it.
Emo Arena. Emo Arena. That kind of stuff will that kind of stuff
change
will
my name.
Definitely stick after a while, that's for sure.
Yeah.
You better be careful. Careful with that nonsense.
I might have to dye my hair black and start wearing black lipstick.
Yeah.
Didn't the transformation already do that to you? I remember specifically hearing something like that.
I was talking about me.
I was talking about herself,
okay.
How that goes.
Yeah.
Yeah, I can't wear pink shirts if you're emo. Come on.
This one is okay. Well, it's halfway between pink and halfway between
that's a
purple.
It looks more like a purple.
It's more purple than pink.
Oh man.
But it's okay.
I can only see like 4 colors.
I was just gonna say that.
White, gray.
Stole the words
black,
right out of my mouth.
And a little bit darker gray.
I'll say that's some lighter shade of red, so that's pink.
It's light red. We have a name for light red.
I definitely have colorblind issues with shades of color, and even I can tell that's purple. So.
Yeah, but Jason,
it's got orange on. Has he got orange on? That's orange.
I mean, my default color is purple, so you're pretty safe if you just say it's purple, right?
His wall's blue. I get it. I can see some colors.
My shirt is actually red.
It's red. It looks orange.
The pen is blue. The pen is blue.
How bad I am.
La pluma. La jamais. What's the French? How do you say in French? I can't remember. Took all of. Oh, it's
I don't
plum.
know. I didn't take French.
Dubtech says it's plum color.
Plum?
Yeah, plum.
Okay.
All right. Well, before we get to the recap,
Twitch up. I gotta put Twitch up.
Everything you need to know about us is down below, and I do apologize for some of the inconsistencies in chat. The spam bots are back, unfortunately, so until Twitch figures it out and deals with the problem, if I have to, I will turn off the alerts in order to deal with that particular issue. So I do apologize for that, but hey, nothing I can do about it. It's a Twitch problem, not a me problem. We are, however, legitimately at 299 followers. So if you're following for the first time.
One more. Come on.
One more, and we'll hit 300, which is a goal I didn't even think we'd get to this year. So I'm pretty happy about that.
Nice.
So yeah. Other than that, we have episodes every night with the exception of Saturday. Our schedule is down below. If you want to check out our schedule, feel free. Our family of creators are down below. Because we're running a little late, we're going to skip a lot of the promo stuff. We'll try and bring that back to you next week when Cesare is back, and we'll try to be a little bit more on time with that. But Kai so Apollo, Kai, both have other shows that they're in and other things that they do. There is Gulshaw's t-shirts. His link is down below in the About Us. Valev or /Trezare, his production studio stuff, as well as his affiliation with TGAC, the General Adventuring Company on YouTube. That is all down there below. Join our Discord, giveaway dice and minis. We just reset the giveaway channel, so feel free to jump right on over there and do that. Other than that, that's all the busy work we need to get done with. Let's focus on the recap. A lot of things have been happening. The Dark One Scion has arrived. I'll click on that. That's the first time I've seen them. Well, welcome, Dark One Scion. Thanks for popping in. Happy to have you. So let's go ahead and recap a bit and bring things up to date for both Derek and Tusk. And the initial recap will also include some opportunities to deal with both the fact that Tusk is still freshly recovered with his death experience, as well as the fact that for the better part of the last few days, Derek will have been captured and trapped within the Jasper mining community, otherwise known as where the slavers currently reside and maintain their current influence and grip on power.
Well, I'm gonna fuck them up. I'm gonna fuck them up.
Yeah, that was Tuesday night, Denizens and their Masters. Tobias was definitely not happy about that, but it still was funny as shit.
He had a nervous breakdown, okay?
Yeah.
Adventuring has been tough on him.
Definitely a bit of a nervous breakdown. So, after everybody had taken some time off during the summer, everybody had kind of accomplished personal goals that they wanted to get done. Upon arriving back to Whist and at the Chimera Mercantile, the team realized that something else was going on as a massive infestation of demonic-like creatures began to swarm into the town of Whist. It then started a four-part encounter. Defending the Chimera Mercantile, the battle then spilling out into the streets and dealing with the Dragonborn. Once the Dragonborn were dealt with, the battle went into the air to deal with the Dragonborn leader. And there an aerial dragon fight ensued. They were defeated and driven off. Unfortunately, Derek was captured in the process as he fell through a portal that the Dragonborn used to escape. The team then had to concentrate on defending Whist from the remaining portion of the siege that was kind of taking over and attempting to overwhelm the entirety of Whist. The team gathered their strength, gathered their troops, gathered their allies that they had, and pushed forward to the center of Whist, where they encountered the avatar of Merkel, the creature that seems to be both influencing and creating the impetus of all of this intrusion into Whist, the attempted abduction of Lord Silverhand, the ability to steal the Flower of the Weave, as well as kill Apollo in the process after retrieving that back, nearly killing a couple others in the process as well. However,
he almost killed me.
However, a longtime friend of the group, known as Scorch, an ancient dragon that had become legendary in its status, used its newfound power to destroy the land titan that was making its way towards Whist with the intent of wiping Whist from the face of the planet. This arcane deluge of energy continued to erupt even days after the occurrence. The team took a couple days to recuperate, but during that process, Arena, rather than waiting for the others, took it upon herself to, well,
Mhm.
do her best to bring back Apollo.
My bad.
During the process, the tenuous connection that the threads of souls have on this newfound existence means bringing back people from death is a lot harder. And as Baal, the god, now the god of death, was escorting souls into his dominion, one particular soul stood out. This is the same soul that Arena had decided was worth saving. With this, a rather unique conversation took place between Baal and Arena. Arena agreed to be a caretaker, a acolyte, and someone who became a death cleric and was transitioned from her life cleric existence, abandoning the halfling twins.
Oh, don't make it sound so. I mean, it was hard enough. It was hard enough.
And becoming
Forsaking.
Aww.
and becoming a death cleric under
Why
the
did you leave us,
servitude
Arena? Why?
under the servitude of Baal. With this, she was able to bring back Apollo's soul, its tendril of energy, brought back to his physical form, where he did awake for a moment and then collapsed from the exhaustion of the effort. The effort alone on Arena did a great deal of physical challenges and harm as well. However, everybody took a long rest that evening. And during that evening, everybody woke up the following morning to a very much transformed Arena. Everybody began to go about the day dealing with these new situations, as well as some people having been given new warnings. Baleb also made a new friend, a treant, that was left in his care while the Dryad went to seek out and figure out where Derek was. Kai reunited with her father. Apollo still laying up in the hospital in recovery. We're going to, and where we last left off, the team had gathered after running errands near the tail end of the afternoon of the second day after the aftermath of Whist, and realized that the creatures made an intense incursion both on the Silverhand residence as well as Vert's tower in an effort to get to the basement where the astral doors lay sealed as no one could quite understand how to get them open. And where we last left off, all of you had gathered down there with the exception of Derek and Apollo, and we were about to discover and discuss the fact that Vert may have actually figured it out. But before we approach that, Derek, it's
Get off me, you Simon sons of bitch!
as you yell, screaming, falling through the air, and you hit the astral gate. And as you hit the astral gate below you, you fall through. It's still nighttime as you look around. You feel yourself land on the ground. Nearby, you hear another thud. All of a sudden, everything around you begins to come to life. Slavers surround you by the dozens, creatures of horrific visage and temperament. And there are so many of them. Eventually, you see a familiar Dragonborn step out, heavily wounded, injured, and you hear him call to the others, "Take that one. We will have words with him." And as the slavers begin to form
I'm
around,
not going quietly.
as the slavers begin to form around you, you see a familiar face in the crowd. And this familiar face is your long-lost friend, known as Tiernan, I believe.
Kara.
And as you see his face, you just see that he's scowling at you and giving you kind of like an indication of submit. He's just... And then you watch as he kind of gets in front of the rest and quickly grabs your wrist and says, "Please, not now. It's not worth it now. We'll have our chance, please." And he quickly like brings your wrists together, begins to bind them, and he begins.
Before he does that, and I say, might as well make it look good, and I'm gonna headbutt him in the face.
Okay, give me an attack roll. Should you do that?
Okay, this does not have a. What is this using? Just my strength or strength?
Give me your strength.
Yeah, give me a d20. Add your strength modifier to it.
Okay, because I don't have anything for this. Ooh, that's a 16.
16. You lean back, crack him with the back of your head. You feel his nose kind of split. A little bit of
What is
blood
it?
sprays.
D4? He
It's
takes
no unarmed.
damage.
It's unarmed.
Oh, unarmed, so he takes 1 damage, just purely?
Or it should say on your character sheet.
No, because I don't have any features for that, so...
Well, my unarmed strike is 3, and you're bigger than I am.
Yeah, everybody has it. Everybody has the ability
Just
for
go into
unarmed strike.
actions and go down at the bottom. It should say unarmed strike, and it just gives you an amount.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, everybody has that ability. And it's
4.
yeah, so you do 4
Nice.
points to him as you feel his nose kind of split, and he leans in and he goes, "Yeah, good idea." And then you feel a dagger, boom, like the pommel of a dagger, kind of like crack you on the back of the skull, and you take 2 points of unarmed damage.
All right.
And the two of you, he kind of like picks you up and pushes you forward, and you can just hear the crowd laughing and just kind of guttural language spewed out in your direction as you're being kind of taken deeper into the ranks. And this is when you begin to realize, as you come out of the edge of this area of the forest, this section begins to look a little bit familiar to you. This is the outside palisade or wall of the last time you were here at the Jasper Mining Colony. Looking down into the valley, for the most part, it looks abandoned. It looks in ruin, but beyond it, you can just see camps and camps and camps that just extend out until they reach the base of the mountainside. And up that mountainside, you can see where once sealed mining shafts were, now completely exposed mining shafts. You can see hundreds of campfires all up and down the side of the mountain. You can see hundreds of campfires littered into the slaver camp. You begin to realize there's thousands of individuals here. And at some point, Tyrion reaches down and kind of loosens your bindings just enough so that your wrists and your fingers can kind of freely move a bit and get some circulation. He curls his arm into your elbow as if he's kind of leading you deeper and deeper into the camp, and he's whispering into your ear, "What the hell are you doing here? Are you out of your fucking mind?"
It's not my fault I fall through a portal and landed in the middle of this shit. You think I wanted to come here?
Well, all I know...
More importantly, where the hell have you been? You left me in the middle of the woods.
It's difficult to explain now, but it has to do with exactly where I have you now. Do you get my meaning? This is the same group that overran us all those years ago. I've been following and tracking them. I thought you were dead, Derek. I thought you were killed by these maniacs. And here I find you falling through the sky. And not only falling through the sky, but you're falling through the sky with the leader of this nightmare fucking place.
It's not the first time I ran into that guy. Oh, we killed his dragon. That was fun.
And he goes, "Yeah, Ildrix is probably going to try to skin you alive. I need to get you in and out of here as quickly as I possibly can. So, do me a favor. Keep your head down and just act defeated. I need your help in doing this. Do you understand?"
All right. One thing, can you make sure I get my cloak then? Just make sure you know where all my equipment is, but the cloak needs to come with you.
This is what I'm going to do. And he's like walking you through crowds of just, it's strange. Everybody that you see here at some point or for some reason is disfigured, heavily scarred. Their physical forms don't look quite right. You watch as a 3-legged human walks by you with its third leg being dragged limply behind it. a distended, grotesquely odd-shaped head of a goblin as its long tongue licks and laps at its own forehead to watch you as you walk by.
What happened to these guys?
Yeah, well, we're going to get to that. If I can get you out of here, I have information that hopefully... Okay, never mind. Hold on. And as he shoves you into a series of cages, or by a series of cages, he begins to take all of your equipment. And you watch as he jams it all into a rucksack and he puts it on his own back. And then he puts manacles on you, but one of the manacles is purposely not locked. He goes, no matter what happens, do not talk or make eye contact with anybody that comes by this cage. I need 30 minutes, and then I'm going to get you the fuck out of here. Do you understand me?
Okay.
He kind of, he roughly shoves you into a cage, and he slams it shut. And he yells out really loudly so that everybody watching will hear him say it. Yeah, old Ildrix is going to have a fun time gutting you, you fucking pig. And he just kind of turns and begins to walk away. You notice as the crowd of onlookers kind of chortle and laugh as all of this happens. A few minutes goes by, 20 minutes goes by. It's near the 30-minute mark and he hasn't returned yet. At some point, the creatures around you begin to get bored. And occasionally, rotted and fetid food is thrown in your direction. Little sharp sticks are pointed, and curses and all manner of torture and torment comes your way. At some point, as this goes on, you watch as the crowd around you that was very much enjoying the torment of you grows silent. The crowd parts as a very tall, mottled-skinned, and somewhat injured, not fully recovered yet, Dragonborn comes walking up to the front of your cage, and he just crosses his arms and looks down at you. Strange fate bringing you home with me. I've never been defeated in battle. You and your friends, well, they'll either join me or they'll die like all the rest. I'm not really sure why you're fated to be here, but I plan on making use of it. Don't go anywhere. Show these pigs what a real death looks like. He watches, he turns and kind of disappears into the crowd. The crowd kind of goes back to whatever they were doing. Eventually, 5-10 minutes later, Tyrion comes out of the crowd, looks at you and goes, sorry.
If there's any rando goblin that came by and is laughing at me, I just reach through and pull him into the bars to smash his face against it.
Give me an athletics check.
Okay, athletics. Sweet. Oh, not bad. 22.
Yeah, you reach out and you grab like the remnant tuft of a leather jerkin and slam, and you can hear a skull crack apart, an eye pop out, and you watch as the lifeless form of the laughing goblin just drops to the ground. The crowd around you laughs even harder. They chortle at the ignorance of the goblin. A few minutes after that goes by, Tyrion finally shows back up again, carrying the same rucksack on his back. When I saw Ildrix, I was afraid my timing was off, but I'm going to take you out of the cage, and I'm going to pretend like I'm taking you to... like I am taking you to Ildrix himself. I'm going to use that time to try to sneak out of here. However, there's a tent. We're going to dodge into that tent, and then I'm going to dress you up to look like one of the slavers. You understand?
Yeah, my cloak.
I have your cloak. Do not worry about that. So the two of you, he kind of roughly pulls you out of the cage, and he goes, I need you to headbutt me again, please.
I headbutt him.
You crack him, and he kind of open palm cracks you across the face, and there's laughing and, you know, the usual kind of leering going on from the creatures around you. You watch as he leads you through a crowd and then down between a couple tents, and he quickly ushers you into one of the open tents. As he shoves you in there, he quickly takes off your manacles. He goes, "Now quick, get dressed."
I'll take my cloak of disguise and activate its features to make me look like a deformed, or what? Okay, so like there's deformed. I know there's deformed beings in there, but are there like any just normal looking beings like
No,
orcs?
that's what you find. Your passive is so high. That's the thing that you find most interesting, is that staring at all these creatures, there's nothing normal at any of these. I mean, what was human is no longer human. What was goblin or orc or gnoll or bugbear, all of these things have been transformed, altered, disfigured, caused to become something else. But it also has enhanced some of their physicality. You know, the orcs look more larger, the goblins look more quicker. There's almost as if there was something that was given to them almost in like sacrificial concept in nature, but in order to gain whatever this power was, they've become something else, disfigured. The other thing you notice is that every single person that you go by, on their neck and lower jaw is a familiar mark that you recognize because you and Gulsha have talked about it often. It's the mark of Merkel, the bone god, the ancient god that has not existed here for some time, seems to be making somewhat of a comeback within this particular group. Even on occasion, when you were being pushed towards the cage and into the area that you've already left and now putting on your disguise, you saw the occasional priest or acolyte or flagellant, or there are certain individuals that you've seen that quite literally look like bone wearing tissue paper like skin. And they all seem quite emanating a power that you can't quite put your finger on. But as you are in this and Tyrion watches you activate the cloak, he goes, "Holy shit, you've got powerful friends, don't you?"
Oh, now this I got off a dead guy.
Well, that's a start. Got any more of those?
No, just this one. Although the bow's pretty cool, but I think it's a little inconspicuous.
Let's get you out of here. It's gonna take some time. Stay on my heel. We can do this. Do you understand?
Yes.
Okay. And for the next hour or so, you spend a pretty precarious journey trying to get out of this area. And you begin to realize just how large it is. The once open vastness of the area is now just cluttered and clogged with hundreds of camps and encampments. Eventually, you swing by a section that looks like it's Ildrix's encampment, surrounded heavily with about 20 or 30 camps. And then you see two things that you have never quite seen before. Two massive war machines with these huge metallic cylindrical pipes coming off of them. They remind you of some of the things that Kai had been working on, only these are quite large in comparison. Hers would be a tenth of the size of these massive cannons. You can see other war machines of various types. Whatever effort was made at Whist was definitely not their full effort, and that's beginning to kind of weigh on you. Tyrion watches your looks as you are being led through here. I know, it's more severe than you thought. They weren't as organized or as dangerous when they overran our community and destroyed our lands. But they've become so much more. I've been focusing so long on tracking, planning, trying to figure out some way to get our revenge that we deserve, but I've just never been able to get close enough to Ildrex or that mad priest that lives up in the mountain. I could just get to him, slit his throat, kill him. Maybe I could put an end to this. But the horrors that they send out of those mines is just too much for the mind to even contemplate.
I think I might have a way we can help each other then, old friend.
Well, we'll get to that point when we get to that point. For now, get you out of here and safely on your way. I cannot leave. I'm too close to my goal, but I can get you out. For the rest of the night, the two of you make your way out of the slaver encampment, dodging the occasional picket and patrol, looking up to see the occasional wyvern rider with Dragonborn, on their back. The gaze of these creatures looking down, trying to absorb. They're on patrol. There's pickets. There's organization here. But once again, whenever you get close enough to these creatures, there's something wrong with them. There's something that's not right. And then you and Taryn spend that evening finally making it out to the edge of the forest, making it out to the very edge of the Worn-Tooth Hills. Both of you collapse in exhaustion as you watch as Taryn casts a spell and a little translucent hut comes into existence. And he goes, quickly, we'll rest in here, and then we'll make our way out of here tomorrow. Agreed?
I don't know. Here, I need to get some... I'm here. It's a few days walk back to where I was from here. I think I should probably get some information while I'm here.
I have all the information you're going to need. If you truly have friends, and you truly have power behind these friends, I have what I think you might need. But for now, we rest, gather our strength, plan. Take some time to cast a teleportation circle. I've relearned some very old magics. It would seem the weave is not quite dead yet. And it would also seem that its control is, well, mobile. And you watch as he leans into his vest and he pulls out a small glimmer stone. And in this stone, there's like a pulsing yellow energy coming off of it. That mad creature up in the caves found these. It's been bringing back parts of what the old weave could do, control the arcane nature. Its absence has been so long, I thought I could never control it again, but this stone allows me to do it. So, I'll get you home to your friends. I have information you can take with you. But for now, you should rest. And you watch as he kind of dips into the translucent hut. You kind of follow in behind him. So, Derek, go ahead and take your long rest finally after nearly 4 weeks. Upgrade your character sheet appropriately.
Already done.
We are level 35, just so you know. Yeah, 35.
Yeah.
Nice try. Nice
What?
try.
Dang it.
Four.
I'm
34 for Apollo.
then I'm behind 20 levels? Oh my god.
A lot happened in those 4 weeks, man. A lot happened.
lot.
It did. It was pretty intense. So, Apollo, in your unconscious state, you've been lying adrift for some time. You've been existing between two worlds. A world in front of you that's presented to you as this peaceful, harmonic kind of glade. This place looks familiar to you. All around you, brethren, sisters, mothers, fathers, all of those that make up the great tribe of your past and your present are here. But it doesn't really make sense. You know most of these people are dead. So where are you? Are you in the in-between? Are you someplace else? You're not entirely sure. You feel a tug at your right hand and you look down to see a small child with big white irised eyes kind of looking up at you. Apollo, where's the flower?
I unfortunately lost it. I wasn't strong enough.
As you look down at the face casts its own face down to the ground, and she looks back up at you. Then you're not done yet. Look behind you.
What is it?
As you look behind, you see a small figure. You see a small figure come into existence. The familiar form of Arena stands a few feet behind you and then begins to kind of float in a weird way towards you. As she does, you watch her form change. And as she reaches out with one of her hands to grab onto you and pull you back into yourself, you just watch as the once cheerful, reticent, and gleeful Arena transforms in front of you into this dark, moody, kind of distant version of herself. And then, as that happens, the next thing you know, you're looking up at Arena's face of concern. You're lying on a rather large gurney or table. Looking around, you realize you're in the hospital section of the Sunrise Chapel. Without any help, she's brought you back. However, you're now staring at someone that looks very different. The pupils of her eyes are gone. They're darkened, fully blackened. Her hair, skin color, all changed. Even the style of dress has changed. You watch as a familiar warg kind of nuzzles at your arm briefly, only you kind of suppress a feeling of recoil. You want to pull away, but you know this is Ghost. But looking at this creature staring at you, half of its skull is now protruding from its once fur-covered muzzle. This arcane energy is kind of swirling around its head. The bristle, porcupine-like hair, no longer soft fur of a warg, but almost has an edge or a point to it that if you were to hug this beast, that it would pierce through your skin and meat. You're about to say something until you collapse into unconsciousness again, as the overall effort of maintaining your control and anchor to this reality takes over and pulls you back in to a deep sleep. For the rest of you, you are currently in the basement of Vert's tower. As you stand there, amazed at the fact that Vert may have actually figured out how to finally open these doors. Valev looks at all of you and says, he kind of moves his head a bit. I'll be right back. Don't wait for me. And you watch as Valev quickly springs up the stairs and makes his way out, leaving Gulshaw, Kai, and Arena alone with Vert down in the basement where the two astral doors lie heavily sealed, the familiar lock across them, the familiar kind of like glyphs and wards that are laid out across them as well. Not really sure how I've been able to figure this out, but I found a book. Oddly enough, I was working on it the night that we were attacked. I was in Tamlin's library, and I had found a book that discussed in greater detail the understanding of astral travel, astral projection, and the ability to create other types of existences. You know, as I've been playing with these pocket dimensions and other things to be able to safely stow my magics and my... He kind of looks down at his feet. I wish I could have done so much more. And he kind of sighs and kind of wipes at his eye and then goes back. Anyways, sorry. These doors, they're not locked. They're timed. The glyphs and wards are timing wards. This door can be undone. It can be unbound. We just need to understand what time this door resides in. If we can figure that part out, I think I may know how to unlock them. Unfortunately, without Max being here, it's going to be a lot harder. Kind of wish he was here, but he's not. So we'll have to figure this out on our own. Now, I understand.
Max is finding himself.
Yes, he's on a soul discovery search of finding Max.
Max is finding himself.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Time. How do we
So-
figure out what time it is?
Well, see, that's the thing. One set of glyphs talks about a time of knowledge, a time of advancement, technology. I think this might have something to do with the goddess Ayun. Another sign of glyphs and wards talk about the elements and how the 4 elements, when brought together, can bring things into existence. I've never fully understood how that works. That feels like a kind of magic I'm not familiar with. But the 3rd ring of glyphs strikes me the most. And you watch as Vert kind of side-eyes Kai, or Lady Silverhand, depending on how she refers to herself. Kai, I believe...
Don't refer to myself as lady. No.
Yeah. Kai, I believe the 3rd set of glyphs were written by your adoptive mother 250 years ago.
Oh my.
There is something underneath these doors that has already been brought into existence. This lock, these doors, if we could just figure out how to open them, I think your mother knew what was going to happen. I think your mother had the ability to look into the future. I think your mother made that mirror. I think your mother was once a very powerful arcane wizard who practiced her arcane abilities in an ancient old building that I have no idea what it was or where it was or what it was named. Based on the descriptions that you and your friends gave me all those months ago in regards to what you found in the mines and seeking your way through to Costa's laboratory.
Yeah.
I don't know how, but whatever role your father and mother played, the fact that this version of your father doesn't even know entirely means that when me and Tamlin pulled him from his point in time, your mother had not completed what she was working on. We've never been able to bring your mother safely back in order to aid Lord Silverhand in what he was accomplishing and what we were hoping to bring back to the Midland Kingdoms. We think we can't, because no matter how often we tried, her eventual death was because she was never really there. We think your mother is on the other side of these doors, but not in the sense that you might think. Her astral self, her projected self, whatever magics she's been able to figure out, were born and birthed in that astral laboratory that you found. Whether or not she put Turkasta there to oversee those relics and devices of 250 years ago to make sure they could never be reused, meant that she knew the possible outcome was not going to be good. And because she knew this, understood how important it was to prepare what this is. This has been built in the old tower that your great-great-great-great-grandfather used to practice his magics in long before the great capital was built. We stand on the ground of trial and error of arcane magics that built the very name of Silverhand. And the only reason I feel like I can tell you this now is what I learned in this book. And when Tamlin and I found and read through this book, it was one of the old relic books that we had pulled from the ruins of Penn. We had no idea what it was or what it was capable of.
Is it possible my mother's actually from the future originally?
This has crossed our minds. What if our present is her past? What
Exactly.
if the reason we couldn't bring her through is because she's never been in her past to be brought through? We've never tried to bring any of the Silverhands from the future. It's always been the past that we focused on. We don't know what arcane magics are required now to make that happen. What we do know, something related to Ioun, and something related to how something could be brought into existence. And then the custom magics of your mother are on this door. I have not been able to decipher this magic. It is not familiar to me. I had hoped, maybe, after the fact that Lord Silverhand had revealed your true parentage to you, that somehow, fresh look, with fresh eyes, give us the insights that we need.
I know I've read all of the books in the library that we have. I don't know if I have any of my mother's missing books or anything that has been withheld from me.
I would like to pull out that blue faceted diamond,
Oh, yeah.
and I kind of want to look through it at the door.
As you look through it at the
Yeah.
door, all the other glyphs fade except for the ones that Vert points out to as the ones written and produced by Kai's mother.
Ah.
You begin to watch as they squirm at first and begin to reshape and reform, and then they transform into spell-like letterings. Go ahead and give me Arcana check.
Okay.
You can always let me look through the thing, too.
Guidance. Can I guide myself?
Sure, why not? Just for shiggles.
Is that it? That's a D4, right?
I believe, unless you have anything special.
Nope. Wait, hold on. I don't even know if I have guidance right now. I just changed all
no.
my spells. Hold on. I
I
do.
That's right.
Okay.
Yay! So
the-
Emo is
A
Roll
D4, a
one.
D4 can make.
Wait. I rolled a 1, but halfling luck. I'm gonna roll it again. No, that's not better.
No. Just gotta get tusk luck.
I got a 9.
A 9. It's definitely a
Always let
spell,
me do it.
but you're just not familiar with its arcane nature. It's not familiar to you. All you know is
Huh.
it's definitely a spell of some sort.
So I'm gonna look through that. I'm gonna say, dude, guys, this is weird. Okay, no, I don't say that. I say, oh my gosh, it's changing. You guys gotta look at this. It's changing.
Okay.
And I'm like trying to make it like change with the kaleidoscope,
Right,
effect.
yeah,
It's not even there.
All the little
Yeah.
plastic chips,
All
falling.
the plastic chips, and
yeah.
I'm like, yeah, no. Anyways, so I hand it to either Kai or Vert, whoever wants to look at it first.
Okay, hand it off to Kai.
Ah.
Kai, as you look through,
Okay.
based on Arena's description, you see
Mhm.
clearly a spell that was described by Vert that was written in your mother's hand is just very much
Okay.
effervescent and glowing with unique energy. None of the other glyphs or words are. Go ahead and give me an Arcana check, please.
It's a 27.
So, as you look at this, as you follow the glyphs and wards, you begin to realize they're slowly revealing themselves to you. And it's almost as if it's a stanza or a kind of saying or poetic literature of a spell. She exists between two worlds, one in disfavor and one in favor. One holds the key, one holds the nightmare. Tread lightly and seek out the key with your eyes closed. Worry not the reflection. The reflection is the truth. The key is the lie. And as you say that, you guys watch as the glass eye bursts into arcane energy. It hovers over the door and as it pulses out, there's a projection.
That was expensive.
There is a projection of a mirror. There's a projection of the arcane mechanical owl. And then there's a projection of the astral planeteer thing that you had discovered deep in the mine. You watch as the astral planeteer representation flares into existence and begins to rotate. And you watch as all these strange planets align up on it. You then watch as the projection of the owl lifts off of its podium, flies into the mirror, and as it comes out of the mirror, it's carrying a key in its claws. And as it comes, it lands directly in the center of the orb that's projecting this out. And you watch as two almost like beams of huge light begin to pulse open. And then everything fades. The glass orb goes back to its normal glass-like ceramic self, and it just rests right on the ground in front of the two doors.
Okay. Am I the only one who saw that, or did everybody?
Everybody saw that.
Okay.
Uh,
Otherwise, I would describe it to them, but yeah, if they all see that, good, good. Yeah, you guys all saw that, right?
yeah. Yeah, that was weird. Something about the key is a lie?
Yeah, I would have read that out loud to you guys.
Okay.
I tried to take notes. but I
Vert kind
couldn't
of
get it
pipes
all.
up. I recognize the mirror. We have that. Oddly enough,
I would have taken notes, though.
oddly enough, I recognize that owl. Max had delivered that to us before he left. It was something that he had taken from that ruined location. I've been studying that mirror for some time. There's something about that astral planetary representation. Do you recall seeing that back in the ruins, back in the mines?
The astro
Yes.
planetary thingy, yeah. That was in the mines.
I think we need that. I think
That's
the
unfortunate.
ability to open up these doors is based on these things combined. I don't know how, but I think if we get that astral planetary model here, I believe that Lady Silverhand created a doorway into where she resides, and she is there to this day. Remember how I mentioned to you about when I was studying the mirror? It felt like I was either looking at an alternate version of myself or perhaps a future version of myself. And up until now, I've never been able to make sense of what that was. I have a funny feeling that when we activate the owl, it is activated based on the fact that the astral lathe, when the planets come together, that tells the owl where to go. And in its reflection in the mirror, it brings back a key. I think that's the key we need to open up these doors. She's hidden it in such a way that only Kai would ever be able to disseminate this information. But what I find strange, not the Kai of a year ago, or 2 or 3, but the Kai of now. In other words, she would have known the Kai's powers were never going to be good enough 2 or 3 years ago. She has written and done all of this knowing the Kai would get to this point.
Interesting.
Question is, how much more did she know before sealing the doors? It is sealing the doors, closing her off from the risk of being identified and tracked down. I believe at this point forward, we are walking a new timeline. We are walking a new existence. I think Lady Silverhand was able to control and manage and manipulate everything up to this point in time. She knew about Arena. She knew about Valev. She knew about Gulsha. She knew about Derek. God's rest his soul wherever he is.
I'm not dead, jackass. Just kidding.
You don't know that yet.
Oh, you
You're
don't
not
know yet,
there.
Yeah.
You're not there.
So one
Could be
must
dead.
assume that the capture of the flower of the weave and where we are now is the fulcrum, is the turning point, is the shift. Whatever we do next determines ultimately our successes and failure.
Merkel got the flower from Apollo.
Yes, but don't you think that was ordained? Maybe that was meant to happen. Or at least
Yeah, hopefully
part...
the flower killed him.
Well, no,
Yeah, maybe it will.
I don't know. Right now, what we do know is that the followers of Merkel, the priests, the acolytes, all those that bow to this god of bones, they're not using the weave as we know it from its history. They're using the weave in what it is now. It's corrupted, broken, its malformed sense of the weave. Perhaps fixing the weave undoes everything that's been done. And that's why he wanted his hands on that flower. If he could prevent the weave from coming back, it strengthens their cause and weakens ours.
So we have to get the planetarium back then.
And the flower.
I don't know which path to take. These are all paths that are choices. The question is, which one makes more sense? Do we follow the path of retrieving the flower and perhaps restoring the weave and undoing Merkel? Or do we follow the path of retrieving the planetarium, discovering the secret behind this door once and for all, and perhaps the secret behind here is what we need to undo this present in order to understand her future and communicate with her? Don't know. We've already proven with the cube, with the reliquary cube, we've already proven that we can go to the past. We've never tried it to go to the future. It is knowledge that we just don't possess. The refraction cube is a difficult relic, to say the least. You've already seen the broken forms of the Silverhands that we've brought back, and we thought we accounted for them all, but that creature you saw near the blackened wood was definitely one of them.
How
Can you only pull
do you
people?
control it?
Control what, Gulsha?
The cube. How do you control it to go back to a certain time?
It's a little less about control and spontaneous luck, to be honest. When you invoke and activate the cube,
you
have to think about a point in time that you're attempting to get to. That
this
point.
Is Sokai's wheelhouse. The crazy scientist artificer. Let's dump a little of this into that and see what happens.
Question. Can you only pull people or can you pull things?
We've only ever been interested in retrieving the Silverhand copies that we felt were most useful in what we're trying to accomplish here. Bring back the old world, save the Midlands from these tyrannies that surround us, and who knows, maybe make our way west and rediscover old lands and old cities long forgotten.
So here's
What?
my thinking.
Well, okay, I have a thought too. Go first,
Mm.
Joshua.
We go back in time to when we were there the first time.
That is what I was thinking.
Yeah.
Get the planetarium
But my thought
and then
was
come back.
just after we leave.
Yeah, so you don't cross yourselves.
Well, yeah, because me seeing me as I look right now, I might kill me. Just saying.
Fair.
Could you
Fair
kill you?
point.
Could you kill you? You're way more powerful now.
Yes.
Yeah, true. You might kill the wrong one. Like
Or
you might
my
kill
other-
your own self.
My other thinking, we go back to the time before the flower was taken
That was my thought.
and make sure that it's not taken. And perhaps both.
Did we see Apollo lose the flower? Were we?
think
Who
I
was
did.
around that saw that
No,
happen?
yeah.
That was
Yeah.
that's common knowledge, right?
Well,
No, I
for
think
those
I
of
saw
you
him.
that made it
I
to the
don't know if we saw
center,
that.
if you made it to the center of the Silverhand residence, the
Right.
Merkel avatar extended its hand and brought the dead form of
Okay.
Apollo
Yeah.
to it. And while
And
it was
took it.
holding onto Apollo's neck, reached in, pulled out the flower, dropped Apollo's
Okay.
corpse, and then, and as they bamped out of
Right.
existence,
Stamped
the
off.
arcanic explosion of Scorch in the background kind of blew up into an almost like a
Took over
sunscape.
everything. Yeah.
Yeah.
So all of you do have that knowledge.
Okay.
So
Just making
those
sure we knew that.
also, I don't know if this has anything to do with anything, but I was gifted a few items from the Raven Queen. With all the excitement, I have not had them properly looked at.
Gifts
But
from a
that's
god,
it.
Gulshaw, and now you're just mentioning it? I mean, let's be
Well-
honest, that's pretty important, don't you think?
It is important, but a lot of
we were
things
just
have
starting
happened.
to talk when,
Uh,
when the attack hit. So, I mean,
We haven't really
So
had a chance to come together.
it's a book, a shield, and a dwarven hammer.
Book,
I think
a shield, and a dwarven hammer.
Yes.
Have you examined the book yet?
I know this is going to sound crazy, but no.
Well, you never were much for reading, Ivar. I'm not overly surprised.
Well, no, it's not that. It's we got back and all this stuff started happening, and
Yeah,
then
We
I
haven't
was
had a
going to.
chance to breathe.
We were going. I was actually on my way to Verts when all this shit hit the fan. So,
May I see the book?
Gulshaw will say, "Well, sorry, but I didn't have time. There's a war going on."
Yeah. Fair.
Do me a favor, Gulshaw. May I see the book?
I show him. I show all of it to him.
He takes the book from you first, examines it briefly. This is a book of Ioun. This is one of her apostates that have written this. Only followers of Ioun would ever be in possession of this book. He looks at the door, and then he looks at the shield. You watch as he waves his hand over the shield, and then the emblems of the four elements appear on the face of the shield. And then as he looks at the hammer and hefts it and holds it in both of his hands, this is an ancient relic. I don't know how you truly got a hold of this. If you say the gods
why
gave
would you
it to you,
lie?
it's not about lying. It's about the world that we're in. Clearly, these were gifted to him.
I think I did this to myself.
I don't pretend to understand the goings-on of the younger generation. I don't quibble or quabble over the music.
Look at my eyes. I did not do this to myself.
Okay, you're scary as fuck. Anyways, this hammer.
Just imagine having to look at myself in the mirror. I mean, jeez.
Just don't use that other mirror. Anyways,
Scare yourself on the way to the bathroom at night.
Right?
this hammer
Go
is
through a
the
lot of
hammer
mirrors.
of the world maker. It is believed that on the back of a great turtle, two gods met, did battle with the Kraken, and that is how the world was formed. One of many different lores. But this hammer is part of that myth or lore, however you want to look at it. These are relics that you now possess, Kulshaw, and they must mean something. They do not reveal themselves to me. The true magic and the true nature is unknown to me, but I recognize their imbuement. I recognize the enchantments upon them.
What'd you say the shield had on it?
The four elements: earth, wind, fire, and water.
Well, doesn't the door have the same thing?
Yes, it does. As well as...
By shield bashing the door with the shield. I'm just kidding.
Mm-hmm.
And the book is a book of Ioun, one of the apostates of Ioun, known as a knowledge keeper. Once again, there's some familiarity with the door. The other ward that's on the door has something to do with a magical incantation related to Ioun.
I got this, and I pull out the fang from.
Yes, we all know
Volev.
We all know that Volev gave you a big tooth. We're very proud.
Well, I mean, the ball said it was from a beholder whose soul he already had. Wait, did he say whose soul it was?
No, he didn't say specifically. He just said that particular soul. No, you asked if it was Xanathar's tooth, I believe. And then Baal answered by saying, I already have that particular soul.
Okay. Never mind. I'm gonna have it made into a sword. Well, it'd be a sword for me.
So, is there any? I don't know. This sounds stupid. It sounds too easy, so I know it's probably bullshit. But I'm gonna ask anyway. So, is there anywhere to like these things would fit into the door, or?
Give me an investigation check.
Okay.
Did that blue gem reform, or did it poof away?
No, it reformed back into its glass, kind of like gem-like
Awesome.
existence. So it's still
I
able
pick
to...
it back up and put it in my pocket.
Investigation. 15.
I mean, bag of holding.
What'd you get, Gulshaw?
15.
15? The physical items appear to be designed to be worn and used on a person. The book held, the shield held, and the hammer held. Almost as if the intent of these devices were to be used. There's nothing here that gives you the possible understanding that maybe they fit somewhere, go somewhere. The space has always been bereft and barren of much. It's always just been the two massive doors leading down into the ground, all the glyphs and wards, projected from each of the doors, the heavy silver and brass lock, keeping the doors shut. No amount of magic or dispel has ever been able to counter these things. But you don't see anything specific.
All right, let me just look at something real quick here. I turn to Kai. Let me go back to the screen here, sorry.
So I see anything infernal?
You're the only person
or
that I know that's a maker of anything.
Mm-hmm.
So I hand you the hammer.
Mm-hmm.
I hand you the shield. And I hand you the book.
Oh. Would you like me to study these?
I'd like you to put them on and see what happens.
We check and see if they're cursed first.
I mean, Vert's already said they're imbued. He just can't identify what they are.
You're the only cursed thing here.
Oh, that is so mean.
And I can just see Golshaw's like straight
Just face,
face,
straight
just
face.
like looking
I mean, I
right
do
at the death
have
cleric.
the spell identify. I do have identify, if that matters.
Let's roll out
So
the identify.
Yeah, I can do the ritual of identify on all of them. Sit down in a corner and just look them over,
Okay.
if you'd like.
So we'll say you're doing that with your time. Valev has still not come
Mhm.
back yet. Arena and Golshaw and Vert, you're standing there at the astral door. Derek, it's the following morning after the initial battle and escape from the slaver camp. You watch as Terran leads you out of the translucent hut, and the two of you step into a fresh morning, taking your long rest. He seems quite well rested. He was up before you, so there's a small campfire with a small kind of like meal being prepared. Some bedrolls have been kind of set out to make it more comfortable to sit and eat. And you can see off to the side where he's begun to make a teleportation circle. And the only reason you recognize it is because you remember that Max was experimenting and trying to get a teleportation circle up and running as well. So you get the feeling that Terran has definitely come into their power finally. And maybe that's what part of what he's been doing with his time while gradually making inroads into the slaver community. He begins to go back to work on the circle while you're now kind of standing there, enjoying a meal, watching what he's doing. He looks over at you. And as he looks over at you, oh my God, the page didn't refresh. Sorry. Where is, oh, there it is. As he looks over at you while he's making this incantation on the ground, he just looks up and he goes, "So, tell me about your friends. Tell me about what you think our chances are with them."
I sort of like I look like I'm about to say something really confident, but then I kind of stop, pause, and memories flood through my head of instances, and I'm like, there's really only one of them that I'd probably rely on.
Only one? Who?
Oh no, never mind. So I'll just it's just a private joke. I'm just thinking of all the mistakes that have been made on the way. So I was
I've
going
never
to.
blown you up. I have never blown you up.
Yeah.
So true. So true.
And I just go on to explain about, me going into the town, the people I've met, starting some of the adventures we've been on since we've been doing our jobs, including going to the Jasper mining colony originally. And now it's kind of all different.
What?
Just a good recap.
Yeah, he spends like 15, 20 minutes as he's finishing the runes and glyphs of the teleportation circle. If I were to give you all the information I possess and have, do you think they could do it? Could they kill him? Could they kill Ildrix and his master?
I'd say we definitely can. You should come with me, Tara, though. All those people in the camp saw you take me out, and I'm suddenly gone. I don't think that other Dragonborn's going to be stupid enough to believe that I just walked away from you.
I'm not so worried about them. I'm worried about our chances. I want to make sure that if I give you this, if I give this up to you, I have maps, I have notes, I have information, I know the schedule, I know how they do things, I know what to look for, I know where to find this creature in the cave. I'll do what I can here to slow them down, but I know their intent is to take their full power to Whist, their full power to everything that you and your friends have built. But you really feel like there's a chance.
I believe we can do it. We have come so far and done so much in such little time.
Very well. He begins to make the last minute changes of the circle. He looks at you and he hands you a map case, journals, books, every note that he's ever taken over the last course of 3 years while chasing these individuals down in an attempt to learn more about them. And you begin to rifle through his documentation, everything that he has. The first thing he points out to you is a slaver camp that he's taken very meticulous and careful notes of. This is Ildric's portion of the camp. The 2 wagons contain high-level Merkel priests, and I believe that that's where they reside. His most strident and fervent followers reside close to him. I believe he has close to 50, maybe even 100 personal bodyguards. You and your friends dealt with 2 of them already, if your story is true. He is camped nearest the war machines where they build them, manufacture them. Send this map with you. Hopefully it will help you and your friends. Here is where that mad fiend resides. It's the 4th highest mine on the face of the mountain. It's the one that, your story is true, the one that you and your friends could not enter. The one that was sealed with warnings on it and they did not try to enter. They have, in that cave, creatures are made, monsters, deformities. And I believe there's a portal in there. I've seen it, but never looked into it. And he sends these creatures through, casts them out into the greater land to do harm, destroy others.
So this is how you invaded Whist.
I believe this is to be correct. If you do come back to the Jasper mining community, do not let its run-down, abandoned state fool you. The very center large building, directly underneath it, is a vast, vast labyrinth of creatures and other things that are being kept hidden for some purpose, and I do not know what. Avoid this if possible. Skirt the entrance. Make your way to the caves from the other side of the community. Do your best to avoid this, and no matter what happens, no matter what you hear, know that this section is the most dangerous way to transgress through their lines. They purposely make it look as if it's abandoned. Creatures and unsuspecting individuals that walk their way through there are never seen or heard from again.
Anybody feel like this is the way we're going to end up going?
Right.
With all of that, my notes, my observations, everything I've been able to discover, the only thing I still don't understand completely is what these things become. I have been using simple disguises and disfigurement tricks to try to keep myself from being, well, noticed. And this is the hardest thing I'm going to have to ask you, Derek. Can you lend me that cloak? Can you make it So moving forward, I can continue my disguise. I can continue making observations. If I had that cloak, I could learn so much more.
I'll take it off and give it to him, of course. And it served me well. May it serve you well as well, friend.
Thank you. Greatly appreciated. Now, let's get you home. By the way, I haven't quite mastered this yet. You might feel a little pinch.
Well, the first time it happened, I ended up someplace that didn't, I didn't intend to go to, so as long as it's close by, I think I'll be fine.
Oh, so you've been through a teleportation circle before?
Once. Technically twice now.
Interesting. Well, hold your breath. And he kind of leads you into the middle of the circle, and he casts the last of the incantation. He watches this swirling blue portal kind of appears right behind you. And he just smiles. He puts on the cloak. You watch as he turns into a disfigured, half-ogre-like visage. But the voice doesn't match the look, and he just says, "It's good to see you again, Derek. Good luck."
And you too.
Your world blackens and darkens, pulled through as you descend through this portal. Apollo, you're now awake, sitting up. Most of the morning has gone by. It's getting closer to mid-morning. At some point, you wander out of the hospital and begin to take in everything around you. The fact that you feel like you've been given another opportunity, another life. This ability of redemption, this understanding that you need to recover the flower. You need to bring back what you were given by the glade in hopes of restoring and repairing the weave. You watch as Valev comes running through the town with someone in tow. It's Derek. He's back. Valev comes running over with Derek, begins to sputter about everything that happened with Apollo, his death, his the battle, the chaos and everything, and is kind of like, even though he looks a little bit more mature with the beard, he still has that familiar childlike voice. You also watch something rather interesting. You watch as a large tree-like creature has followed Valev into town.
Hey, Wilson.
And Wilson looks, good to see you, Derek. I was wondering, have you seen our friend, Elian?
No, she didn't contact me. Why? I was about to ask you the same thing. Is she here?
I don't know. She was supposed to have gone looking for you. But no matter. I will find where she is. I will go commune with the forest, and I'll get back to you when I can. It's good to see that you're back. Seems little Valev here is quite excited about it. Valev grabs onto both Apollo and Derek's hand. Those of you down in the basement studying and focusing on this, watching Kai wrap up the last of her spell work, you watch as Valev comes racing down the stairs with both Apollo and Derek in tow. You guys look and are shocked to see that Derek is back. He looks like he's seen some things. He is heavily, although recovered, he's heavily bruised, scarred, and seems distracted. But for the first time in a long time, all of you are now back together again in Vert's Tower in the basement as you watch Kai make the last of the incantation to identify all three of the vestiges that have been placed in her hands. What would you guys like to do?
What are you guys doing?
Good, and yourself?
Glad you're back. How
Arena.
did you get away?
Whoa! What? Who?
All right.
Oh.
What did you do?
Well, I brought you back to life.
At what cost, though?
Well, you can see. Yeah.
No,
I
you
mean,
can't see
It's
all of the
very
changes.
dark. What do you get?
yep.
I have information that I think Brachus and Lord Silverhand would be interested in looking at.
What do you have? We have some information here too.
I have maps and information about the schedules from the guards at the encampment that I was stuck at. I was ended up transported to the Jasper mining colony. There are hundreds of thousands of them there.
That's a
Hmm.
lot.
Mhm.
We don't have that many,
We need to find
especially
out.
not now.
It wasn't. It was just thousands, right? Wasn't it?
Yeah, thousands, not hundreds of thousands.
Yeah.
That would be incredible. But yeah.
Jesus, I was
Oh,
gonna
okay.
say,
I was
what the
gonna
hell's
say,
going
oh my
on?
gosh, what the
Sorry.
how the hell did they
Crap.
get that many people?
I was about to cast that spell that gives me a steed I can leave on.
I cast Steed of Retreat.
Yeah, steed of
Right.
hasty retreat.
Run
GTFO.
away!
Speed
I
of
guess
run
we
away.
could basically explain everything to you that
Yeah.
has happened down here.
Yep.
I'll
So it's just easier to do that way, I think.
I'll talk to Vert and basically say we probably should get everybody important in one room and discuss everything that we've so far got.
I don't know. I've seen that movie. Then they get shot.
The helicopter with the Gatling gun comes up and
Oh,
Exactly.
God, yeah. Yeah.
The helicopter
Which
with
I
the
don't
doubt
Gatling
that they
We'll
gun.
have.
put the president over in
they got
another
everything else.
building.
It's more like a bomb that's smuggled in a briefcase. Those are more ones I'm more familiar with.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Okay. Mhm.
I was thinking of the second Star Trek movie. Anyway,
Yeah.
so
Okay.
Well, we can go talk to Silverhand and
Yes.
Bert and
Yeah.
Hamlin and
Kai, what did you find out?
yeah.
I don't know. What did I find out?
As you're momentarily, at the end of your identifying of these items, you're kind of momentarily distracted to see both Apollo and Derek here. Kind of a sense of everybody back again. Even Valev is like running from person to person, kind of very kind of hyper about this and very kind of fixated on the door. And Kai, what'd you find, Kai? Kai, what's that do? What's that do, Kai? Hey, Kai, that hammer's really cool.
Yeah.
Can I see that hammer? Is that cool? Is it a cool hammer? What's that book
Don't
do? What's that book do?
touch
What's
it.
that shield do? Is that shield cool? It looks really cool. Eventually, Vert just smiles, kind of puts his hand on Valev's shoulder to calm him down. Yes, please, tell us about what you've discovered. So as you kind of get these things to reveal themselves, they're not sentient by any stretch of the word, but they're not fully revealing either. This is old magic that's not overly familiar to you. But first, the book, it calls itself the Book of Knowledge. And
Okay, that is the Book of Knowledge. Okay.
yeah, and as you examine it and look at it, you begin to realize it's a book that's dedicated to Ioun. And for anyone who reads and consumes the content of this book, gradual understanding of Ioun and what Ioun represents will be revealed to them, and certain kind of possible magic effects. And you begin to realize that this is definitely a book of study. It'll take you more time, but it's definitely a
Okay.
relic. You recognize it as a relic. Moving to the
Yes.
shield, you begin to realize the shield is an actual vestige of the dwarven god Mordecai. And the 4 elements on the shield represent the ability to create worlds. The ability to take the 4 elements, bring them together, and on the back or front of the shield, a world is made. You're not entirely sure what that means, but you begin to realize that if it's a Mordecai vestige, it must have some kind of power, but it's one of those powers that potentially may have to be unlocked, studied, attuned, and discovered through use. As you examine the creation hammer, you realize that this is probably the most interesting of the three. On one side of the hammer are a series of kraken tentacles that kind of splay out to the front of it. And then on the back side of the hammer is a single kind of like obelisk representation of an eye with some kind of minding behind it. And then the hammerhead itself and then the heft is made up of the form of a dragon, a huge dragon in its representation. The metal itself is almost blindingly white, and the heft is made up of like silver, gold, and platinum inlay. Whatever this thing does, it definitely did not reveal itself to you. It merely identified itself to you as the creator's hammer. You get the feeling that this would have to be wielded, attuned, and it's a process of perhaps it revealing itself to whoever that bearer is. But you also get the feeling that all three of them are linked. That wielding the hammer, bearing the shield, and understanding the gifts of knowledge from Ioun, somehow all are meant to invoke or create a condition of existence. Once again, you're not entirely sure how or why. And if you want, you could simply just say, you tell this to everybody if you choose to.
Yeah, I do. I'll
Okay.
go ahead and just say what I learned out loud.
Okay.
So, yes, that is what I know. I will be more than happy to continue studying the book if you would still like to use the shield and the hammer as you've been using it to try and learn. The more I learn, the more I'll tell you about it. The more we can test it together.
Yeah, I don't need those items.
Is that the is that the hammer that he's been using?
No.
Yeah.
Mm-mm.
No, I
No,
didn't think
this-
it's
No?
not.
these
no,
were
it's a
the-
separate hammer.
I believe
This
these
is
were the three
different. Oh,
gifts
okay.
gifted to you when you went to go establish and take your oath at the Oshram Temple, correct?
Yeah.
Yeah.
mhm.
These are not.
Those are the-
Am I able to carry a hammer?
This is designed for someone with a proficiency in this type of weapon.
I don't think I am.
If you don't have the proficiency, it would be very unwieldy and not really
Yeah.
provide much
What is
for you.
what's a hammer? Is it a simple weapon?
I believe. Well, I don't know.
It is a martial. Wait, is it Warhammer?
It's a warhammer, just not
Yeah,
a great
martial.
hammer.
It's a
It's a
martial.
warhammer, so it's a martial
Hmm.
weapon.
Yeah, no, I am, yeah. Simple weapons, yeah. And sometimes firearms. Thank you. So I am I'm proficient in, yeah, firearms actually is a thing at the DM's discretion. Don't you just love alchemists? We can blow things up.
As long as they're not blowing me up, you can do whatever you want.
Is
Yeah.
it a one-handed warhammer?
Yes, it's one-handed.
Warhammer
It's one-handed.
it says weapon comment. Okay, versatile. Melee.
Oh,
It doesn't say.
Yeah, mine's just simple, and firearms are the only weapons I can use.
I can use it. I have simple and martial, and I know Valev has his hammer, but then doesn't
I have
What
simple
is-
and martial as well.
Apollo's a
I mean,
barbarian? Shouldn't he be able to use it?
I
as
know
well?
this stuff was gifted to me by the Raven Queen,
Mhm.
but it was I didn't get the feeling that it was something for me to keep. I
I
mean,
mean,
Warhammer just screams barbarian to me, so I'm fine with giving it to him.
you're taking
yeah.
you're taking the oath had more to do with the importance of the oath. These gifts would have almost seemed a little bit redundant to you to a certain degree. So I mean, the
Right.
assumption was that maybe these gifts would have been for others.
that's what I'm thinking.
Ah, okay. Perfect. So I can work with whoever wants to take them. I'll work with the Book of Knowledge and help
So-
them figure out more.
So
'cause
Warhammer,
I really want to
a
read the book.
A warhammer is a martial melee weapon, and it's considered versatile.
So it
So
can
if
be
you're
one or two.
proficient in martial weapons, then you'd be proficient in this hammer.
I can use the hammer.
I feel
Can
like
Apollo
it's-
use the hammer? Apollo?
Yes, Apollo can use the hammer.
You
I
don't
don't
have a
think
magic weapon.
I don't. Yeah, I don't think it does with the
You've
thing
got
with the
a
rogues.
kick-ass spear, though, right?
Yeah, I don't think it does the same thing as with the Is it finesse or ranged?
It is versatile. It's
It means you
Versatile,
can use
yeah.
it one or two-handed.
correct, and it's martial.
So it wouldn't give me a sneak attack, but yes, I would use it. Just in case my spear messes up on me, so Apollo would use it.
Well, your
No.
spear isn't magical, or is it?
Yeah, it's magical.
Oh, okay.
But what's Arena have?
I have.
Some shit
Uh.
weapon that we've got from our travels.
Probably.
I-
We're
I-
always
I just-
throwing
my-
around spells.
I mean, I have that Demon Claw Spear of Advantage that I hardly ever use. And I have the Fang Dagger of Advantage that I hardly ever use. And then other than that, I have a mace. A plain mace.
Yeah, then I think you should take the warhammer then.
Yeah, I have a plain staff, and I have a repulsion shield, and I have a pistol.
Speaking of Kai,
daggers, and a crossbow.
Kai, do you want a Demon Claw Spear of Advantage?
I
Now,
don't
who
know.
uses a shield?
I think I use a shield.
You could probably use that shield then.
Yeah,
they
you
might
can-
all go together. Well,
no, Gulshaw, what shield do you have? I know you
Yeah,
have
I
your,
use a shield.
or is your
I use-
warhammer
I use a
two-handed?
massive two-handed hammer. I don't
Okay,
need a
never mind,
shield.
yeah.
Yeah, he's got the
no,
massive
yeah,
two-handed
that's-
maul.
You get that floating shield,
I have a shield.
but is it as good as this other shield?
No, I have a plain shield.
Yeah. So you might want this one.
And then a plain mace. And I don't really use the Demon Class Spear of Advantage because I, well, don't really throw spears. I throw spells.
Mm-mm.
Well, the original
throw
thing you
spells
were
also.
using, the original thing you were using that spear for was more of a, like a jousting style weapon when you were going to mount
Yeah.
and take mounted
Poking
combat with
people.
with Ghost.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So I'd say keep it for that, because Blaze isn't big enough for me to ride mounted or anything like that yet.
Hey,
Do you want
Kaya?
do you want a Fang Dagger of Advantage? Because I have one of those.
Sure. If you don't
Oh.
need it, I mean, I have just regular daggers, but
I just figure if I'm taking a magic weapon and I already have those magic weapons, someone else could use the Fang Dagger.
This is not merely a magical weapon. These aren't
No, it's
These
they're
aren't
not.
magical
way more than that.
doodads
than
that I'm handing out willy-nilly.
I didn't think you were handing them out willy-nilly.
But you were handing them out
Really-
silly Arvar Wally.
Yes,
Avant-gardely.
Avant-gardly.
exactly.
I do have to go and my armor is too heavy now. I have to change my armor.
Oh no.
Yes.
Mm.
So I have to go and talk to the blacksmiths anyways. So
Are we still down in the basement talking, or have we?
Yeah.
No, you're down in the
okay.
basement conversing with each other.
Somehow I have 2 chain shirts. That's interesting.
yeah, I'm thinking.
Okay.
I was
We need
trying
to go have a meeting with Lord Silverhand and Brackus and Tamlin and all of them, because I need to hand over this information that I have about the mine and our enemy.
Oh,
And I think we should probably put together a force to try and go there, because they're making some really bad shit right now. And I think it's going to get a lot worse really soon.
Mm-hmm.
Is Vert still down there?
Yep, he's still there. He's just kind of leaning off to the side, watching you guys all have your conversation and giving you the
Yeah.
space and the time you need.
I'd like to ask him to set up a meeting with Lord Silverhand and Brackus and all that.
Well,
so
there
we
was
can,
already a plan to meet later for a celebratory meal once things have settled down a bit. But I can go and find everybody I can and see what I can do.
Okay.
I'm gonna. Are we? We're not doing anything more with the door, right? We have to figure out our plan of attack.
That's what I was thinking, yeah. We should probably get ready for that. I don't know when we're going to have to go out, but it's going to have to be soon. At least within a couple days.
Okay. I guess we don't need. I mean, let's head back up.
All right, study that book. Let me know what you find out. I'll keep these other items until we know what's going on.
All of you make your way out of Vert's tower. Vert goes one direction to the main Silverhand residence. The cleanup continues. People and carts filled with the remnants of the bodies of the creatures that attacked, but there's a bit of a lightness to the step. People recognize how important it was to survive. The firebrand, or your chimera, because we've changed their names, right? The mercenaries that you've hired, God, just mental fart. What'd you call them?
I'm trying to remember. I'm trying to look. Hold on.
I know Vimac.
Chimera Company.
Yeah, the Chimera Company, because after they took contract with you, they had shifted their name. And Vimac, who's the leader of the remnants of the Chimera Company, kind of comes over to you, Arena, kind of looks a little distracted at first, but hands you a message pouch that had been received from Traverton. As I told you earlier, I would look into it. Everything is fine down in Traverton. I'm sending our people out to check on all the other villages. Brackus has asked me to start gathering every able person that can fight.
Yes.
I don't know how many of those are left, but do what I can.
Thank you.
He just kind of bows at you, just kind of smiling awkwardly, and looks at the rest of you and kind of nods, and then quickly makes his way into the crowd. You guys are now back at the Chimera Mercantile. Or you could go to Fort Chimera. Where would you guys like to go? Or would you like to go powwow and decide what to do?
Well, I have to stop by the Mercantile and pick up Ghost, and then I do need to get different armor.
Okay.
Out of curiosity, what do you guys do with that dragon that we were fighting?
I sent people out to go and pick up the remains.
Do they have it yet? Because I have something I wanted to do with it.
That was today.
That was today.
Okay.
You were only gone for a night.
It felt longer than that, didn't it?
Game
felt
time
almost
versus
felt like
real
a
life
week.
time.
Or a month. Almost felt like a month.
Yeah, pretty close. Great. What's our smith's name again?
We have a couple of them, like
No, the one we rescued.
Thor. Oh, the one we rescued. He's weird. I mean,
His name's changed
he's
several
wonderful.
times. But...
Oh, fuck you, Ivar.
Blackthorn Snarl. Blackthorn Snarltooth.
Just call
Yes.
him Jimbo.
Blackthorn
So-
Snartooth is the one that you put in charge of the other blacksmiths. There are now
Yes.
4 separate blacksmiths that you run throughout the community of Whist. Some are on the outside. There's one that's actually near Fort Chimera, and that's the larger of the 4 blacksmiths. They've been focusing on turning out weapons, armor, parts for the rifles that Kai has perfected, and currently they've also been trying to perfect the manufacture of the heavier cannons and stuff that she has been perfecting throughout the course of the summer as well.
Which one's best at producing armor?
That would probably be the one at Fort Chimera.
And that's the one I'm going to.
Okay.
Yeah, me too.
All right.
I'm gonna take my tooth from
Oh, yeah,
the
Lundar.
beholder tooth. Gonna take my beholder tooth. Lundar died, didn't he?
It's Lundar.
Lundar died. Lundar
Lundar
died.
2. Lundar 2's there.
What?
Oh,
Lundar
we're
2?
good.
Yeah, his name is now Lundar 2. Blackthorn Lundar 2. So I'm gonna take my tooth.
Okay.
That is magic. And gonna go and see if you know, I can get it made into a dagger, sword.
Okay.
Short sword.
You watch as Valev says, I'm going to go look for Wilson. I'll talk to you guys later. And he kind of races out to the perimeter of town.
Wilson! I mean, he's
He
13.
seems kind of depressed. What happened?
Valev? Or
Blaze.
Wilson?
Blaze met his end.
Blaze.
Mm-mm. Not
Or-
Blaze, Scorch.
Scorch
Scorch.
met his end. Yeah.
See?
I'm like,
Scorch,
wait,
blaze,
wait,
fire,
wait.
whatever.
Not
Take
Blaze.
that, you asshole. It's not easy remembering all the names, is it?
It isn't.
Scorch didn't make it through the battle. Do you see that arcane storm over there? And I point off to where there's still explosions and lightning and, you know, darkness.
I see.
That
The magical
where-
remnants of where Scorch self-detonated to destroy the Titan.
yes. That
He
Yeah,
just
we
holds his
haven't-
breath.
we haven't been able to go over there and recover the body yet. If there is anything to recover.
Mm,
I mean, you were told by no uncertain terms to wait a few days before entering that area because the spell effect that was left behind would be quite
And
dangerous.
I've been told not to go over there because, you know, it could be dangerous. Yes. What he said, but coming out of my mouth.
Gross.
Yeah.
okay.
Exactly like that.
Exactly. After this, we should also look at those 2 Dragonborn bodies. Yeah.
You and those dragon.
Shouldn't we do that? Because how far away is Fort Chimera from here?
About 15, 20 minutes. On the outskirts.
Aren't the bodies at the fort?
They should be. I think that's where they were
Okay.
supposed to be taken.
Cool.
And the black dragon body, I believe.
Then we can look at that stuff once we get over there.
Yep.
Was that where you guys are all heading to?
Well, the blacksmith first.
Okay. Stopping off at the blacksmith, Kildrak is there. Big heavy-set hill dwarf comes over. Hey? Well, it's good to see that you all lot still alive. We're still trying to do repairs and get things back up to spec, as they say.
Oh, good.
What can I do for you?
I suddenly don't fit my armor, so I need new armor.
No, I don't see any reason why, lass, we can't accomplish that for you. Your measurements are known to us. Is there a particular armor you'd like for me to make for you?
Medium armor that will not make me roll with disadvantage. I mean, I was looking at maybe, I don't know, scale mail or half plate. Half plate's still gonna.
I know that you've been busy all summer, but I was going to speak to you about these elven shirts that I've come across.
Yeah.
They were sent to us by old Frostfur himself. He had managed to track down some abandoned villages on his way back towards his main caravan route. He sent a shipment of equipment back for us to examine and begin to try to interpret and understand.
Oh, are any of them magic?
We believe so.
Do you need them identified? Because we could have Kai do that.
No, I
Mhm.
believe we know what they are. We were merely going to package them up and send them to you and over at the Chimera Mercantile to do with whatever you please.
Okay. Can I look at those?
You watch as he opens one of the iron crates that he'd already sealed, and he kind of unscrews it, takes the lid off, and he pulls out the most amazing, like, chainmail shirt you've ever seen. It's like very much, and he tosses it to you, and when you catch it, there's no weight whatsoever. It's almost like holding cloth. But when you kind of punch into it, you even pull out a simple cutting tool and you try to cut into it and jab into it. You watch as the tip of the blade kind of bends backwards away from it. I believe that's an elven chain shirt, is what Frostfur said it was. +3.
Ooh, +3. Yeah, I will. Yeah, that would
What
work.
type of armor is it?
Elven chain.
Light?
Yes, it's light.
Elven chain pops up as medium in
Not in my world.
sweet. Okay. That's
Remember,
okay, I can do-
nothing's like it is in the book in this world.
I know.
Besides, when
And
he told
+3.
you benefits, you don't tell him anything different.
I'm okay. Fine.
Since I'm here, the other smith was making me some armor out of some special metals that I gave him, and well, he's dead now.
Yeah, old
So,
Snout finished up that order over the summer. I was on my way over to tell you about that, but unfortunately we were attacked. And I never had a chance to track you down and give you the information. Your armor is now complete.
Ooh.
It is.
Did you finish?
I finish what?
Sorry, go on.
My sentence? Or another piece of equipment that you want me to pull out of me ass?
Yeah, that. Yeah.
Okay, here,
You
give me
clean it
one
off
moment.
first.
I don't want you to pull it out of your ass, but I do want to commission something of a bit of a rush.
Well, Master Derek, old Frostfur sent you something as well, so don't jump to too many conclusions. Give me a moment. You watch as he walks back, drags out another heavy crate, opens it up, pulls out this blackened obsidian-like metallic armor. He tosses the upper half to you, Gulshaw, and it feels light as a feather when you grab it.
This will be very nice.
This full plate obsidian armor, +4. I don't know what the fuck this material is made out of, but you just can't get through it. I've tried. I've even made little pieces of targets to put some of my most sharpened and master-crafted blades and arrows through it. Nothing gets through this.
Very nicely
That's
made.
awesome.
Old
Thank you.
Lunda knew what he was doing, but our new chief finished his work over the summer, took the entirety of the summer to do it. But good craftsmanship. It will protect you, and I suspect you'll need it.
I will.
Did he Blackthorn finish Vilev's shield as well out of the green dragon scale?
Hey, that's completed as well, if he chooses to want it. I've got that here as well.
Or we can just send it up to the Chimera.
I can
Garrison.
send it.
Yeah.
Can send it later.
Fort
Old
Chimera.
Phosphor sent this for you, Derek. And you watch as he pulls out an oilcloth wrapped longsword and hands it to you. The pommel is in the shape of an open, screaming mouth with no real form to it. The heft is incredibly well balanced and light. Old Phosphor called it the bite. +2 to attack, +2 damage. Advantage in close combat. He said that you might need this for when your bow and arrows run out and you feel a bit useless.
Damn, Frostfur.
Well, I can assure you it wasn't cheap. So, Mistress Arena, if you could possibly increase the wealth of the coffers for the blacksmith guild, that would be greatly appreciated.
Will do. Will do.
We also have much repair work to do as well. Old
Yes.
Mike and his family have already moved out of the Chimera. They've moved into Fort Chimera.
Okay.
He feels a little bit more confident keeping the family there. And he's going to be supervising the repairs here.
There was a lot of damage to Chimera Mercantile.
I
Yeah.
sent my own mates over to the Chimera to begin repair work there as well. The city itself is in a bit of a mess. Distractions will slow us down, but we'll try to get back up to the pace that we need to produce and create the weapons and armor that our people need.
Very good. Speaking of weapons, can you do anything with this?
Hey,
Can I pull out the tooth?
what the fuck is that? It looks like
It's a beholder tooth.
What the fuck is a beholder? Never heard of the things. What do they do?
They have a lot of magic, and they have a really big eye, and then like tentacles, and then more eyes on the tentacles, and they're dead. But this one, I have a tooth, and it's sharp and pointy, and I'd like it to be a dagger or a short sword.
Well, I can certainly take a look at it to tell you what I could do with it, but first of all, that sounds like a terrifying story. Never tell it again. Especially with your eyes being all blackened out and the way you look. You might want to, soften the mood a bit next time. And he kind of grabs it.
I'll see about, I know we have a cloak of illusion somewhere. I'll see about borrowing that, so I might look a little more normal.
Yeah, about that.
Derek just has this look on his face.
Sort of looking up.
Oh, my. Maybe I
Uh-huh.
can make you an amulet like mine.
Yeah. That'd be cool. So,
The dwarf just looks
Work
at
on that.
the dwarf looks at all of you and goes, I gotta tell you, I wasn't expecting us to live through last night.
It was definitely a lot. Yeah.
Have you
Not-
seen young
not everyone
Valev
did.
anywhere? Is he okay?
He's
I'm
He's
making new
healing.
friends.
It's around somewhere. He was just here a minute ago. You know how he is. Sneaks off.
ran off into the forest.
He has a tree and, you know.
Well, he's already
armor class
making
is
new and
six.
bigger friends. I guess that's a good thing to know.
I don't know if
Master
they're
Apollo,
bigger.
is there anything I can get you? Anything that you need?
No, I just need some time to think.
I think we all could use a little bit of that. Well, I'm going to get back to work. If there's anything you need, just let me know. Good luck to you all.
Yeah.
I will
I
be
actually
sending
did-
over Valev's stuff this evening.
Thank you.
Right.
I did want to still talk to him real quick. Just mention that I needed a new set of armor and it's kind of a rush job. I wanted it to be leather, but I think I have some good material that he'll be interested in working with.
Hey, what material would that be?
Some black dragon.
Oh, not too dissimilar than from the shield that I made for Master Valev. Yeah, send that over to me. I'll see what I can do.
All right.
Well, good day to you all. Good to see you.
Good day.
He watches
later.
the just dozen or so craftspeople get back to work. Some are making all manners of simple tools and items to kind of help with the reconstruction. The rest of you all just kind of walk out of the blacksmithy area. You're now standing in front of the Chimera Mercantile, or the Chimera, Fort Chimera. So you're roughly 1.5 miles, 2 miles outside of town at this point. What would you guys like to do?
By the way, this is my first time being here.
Yeah, it's impressive. It's a 2-story structure, quite large. You can see where there's massive iron doors leading in. Rather than having a traditional courtyard, it's fully enclosed. That way, no aerial attack would gain advantage. Parapets and 2-story towers, in some case 3-story towers, kind of the perimeter portion of the fort. it's what Arena and has been working on all summer to get the fort built and up and running and make it the headquarters of the Chimera Company that now not only take care of Traverton, but on occasion will fan out into the greater Midlands to make sure people are being taken care of.
I'm gonna send a
Good
message.
job,
to...
Arena.
Thank you. I'm gonna send a message to Ghost to come out to the fort.
Okay. Ghost eventually makes it out. Following Ghost on the way out.
Is he trailed by anybody? Is he trailed by anybody special?
He is trailed by a familiar individual that's now grown quite large. He is quite similar in stature, but not quite in appearance. He tends to avoid Ghost, but the visage of Ghost is unavoidable. The partial protruding skull, the change in the fur, the overall demeanor and manner in which Ghost walks, almost as if he doesn't really even touch the ground. The aura of magic that kind of wraps around his face. But bounding up past Ghost is Dudley. Dudley sees you and just leaps right into your arms, knocking you to the ground.
Dudley had a growth spurt. And Ghost changed with me.
Oh God, yeah, that's right. I forget. He's not
That's
Ghost.
kind of sad.
Well,
But I guess if it
good
helps
news
you,
is I can talk to him now. And he can talk to me. And I
Oh, goody.
rub him
Derek's-
affectionately.
Oh, goody. Derek's back. More passive comedy to come for sure.
And I just chuckle. Yeah. As I'm petting him. I mean, really, it's like, as I'm petting him.
Strange not bothering with food. He watches, he's kind of eyeballing Dudley. Wonder what he tastes like. I wonder if he's even worth tasting.
FYI, Dudley could probably sense that, and he would be fairly aggressive at that. He's not a simple puppy anymore.
Ghost's one solid eye, the one that's not a fire of magic in the skull side of his face, just kind of squints. I will miss the taste of meat. Oh well. He just kind of curls at your feet.
Let me know if you want to go in the necklace.
Yeah.
And I thought a hellhound puppy was kind of freaky. Jeez.
Oh, by the way,
Just had to go and be, weirder.
so
Right?
Dudley's hit points can be maxed out, but I want you to give him a little bit extra for his level up scenario involvement in the encounter. So bring Dudley up to 100 hit points. And
what should Ghost be at?
Ghost should be at 182 hit points.
Okay.
Oh, Dudley gets
Ooh.
the same.
Dang!
His
Sorry.
hit points are changed to sort of be like a character, so he gets a D10 every time he leveled up. So I sort of been following the same progression.
What's his hit
As
point
we've been
pool
like-
at then right now?
136.
Okay, that's fine. Keep it at that. I wasn't sure how you were managing that. I wanted you at least to be at like a max, like 100.
These
Yeah.
guys are tanks.
Yeah,
They are now.
Yeah.
Yeah, they are.
The
My,
beast
Oh,
AC, my AC right now is scary.
I'm over like I have 100 and it's got 80, and that's max.
I know they're gonna still hit me, but
What type of sword was it again? A great sword or
It's a long sword called the Bite.
long sword? Okay.
And it's, I believe it's +2 to attack, +2 damage, and you have advantage whenever you use it.
Okay, cool.
So, Tusk, I'm getting feedback through your mic. So,
All right. Well,
it's midday at this point. What would you guys like
let's
to do?
go. Find the bodies.
The
Dragonborn?
Yeah,
Dead dragon?
the Chimera guard sees all of you approach, Ah, Mr. Serena, we have them down below in the laboratory. I'll take you there.
Thank you.
As the doors open, you realize that this is the one place that's for the most part unscathed. This two-story portion of the structure managed to avoid most of the damage. It was mostly the parapets and the towers that were engaged in the overall encounter and the battle with the massive swarm of creatures and harpies and all the things that were being used to try to overwhelm Whist. There's a subterranean portion to this, so although it's 2 stories above, there's an entire story below, and he takes you down a set of stairs down to the very bottom of Kai's massive laboratory that you had built for her. This is where she does a great deal of her more heavy work, her more heavy chemical work, research on the new massive firing equipment that she's been focused on, perfecting it, manufacturing it. On 2 large metal tables, you see the broken, battered forms of the 2 Dragonborn. You watch as the guard points over to a side desk, and on the desk, everything that they had is piled up on the desk.
Okay.
He just looks,
Let's go over and look at what they had.
just kind of
Yeah,
nods
quite
and goes back
right.
to heading back upstairs.
Thank you.
Yeah,
My lady.
going through stuff.
So everybody who's there, which is everybody but the Lev, so everybody give me investigation checks as you begin to rummage and search through everything here.
Investigation.
I got an 11.
And
18.
can we guidance?
15 for Apollo.
15.
I got a 23.
I'm gonna flash of genius myself,
Okay.
so that's a 20 then.
Okay.
30, 20.
Arena, what'd you get?
Hold on, my dice are dark. Okay.
Just like you.
Yep, just
I was waiting for
Okay.
that.
Yes,
I
turn
did
to the dark
guidance.
side.
Guidance on myself.
Sure.
And so I got a dirty 20.
Okay.
16 and 2 and 2.
Me
Yes,
too,
I win.
woohoo!
For all of you going through this equipment, there is 2 necklaces that bear the mark of Merkel. These are focuses and wards that clearly are meant to serve them purposefully. And to touch them, to interact with them is nearly almost painful, both psychically and physically. Those are set aside. There was a particular ring taken off one of the dragons, or one of the Dragonborn. For you, Kai, this one draws your attention to it. You recognize it. You recognize it as a spell storing ring. You've seen these rings before, but not one quite this fancy and quite this intricate.
Giving the halfling the ring.
It looks,
Yeah.
it looks very advancedly made, but there's something necrotic in nature about it. You're not sure what it is, but
The spell storing ring?
yes. I mean, someone's gonna have to identify it. I'm just telling you what it looks like.
Yeah, I'll do that later.
Okay.
Hey, I'm all about necrotic now.
That's what I was thinking.
For you, Derek, you can't help but notice the 2 large hammers. Both appear to be magically imbued, but there's something odd about both of them. There's almost this kind of arcane, kind of red, blackish hue about them. I mean, to look at the face of the metal and the heft, you can see ghostly faces in the hammers themselves that seem to scream and distend when you first look at them. They're clearly magical imbued, but there's something about them that kind of takes you back to the Jasper mining colony that just has you feeling odd about them.
Oh, dear God, don't tell me.
For you, Arena, you come across a very simple, nothing too fancy, glass like a very dark obsidian black glass orb. It fits in the palm of your hand. It's kind of very cold and icy to the touch. It seems to be magically imbued. You're just not quite sure what the magic might be. For Apollo and Gulshaw, nothing of real interest pops out to either one of you at this point. Although all of you seem genuinely intrigued, it's the lack of stuff. They didn't wear armor, but were nearly impossible to hit. They clearly were master users of some kind of spell ability. Their bodies disfigured, horribly marked and striated with glyphs and runes. They're barely even recognizable as Dragonborn. They slowly and gradually become something else.
I explained that most of the ended things that were in the Jasper mining colony were like deformed in some ways, like the basilisk that we fought, and now these guys. So this is what I meant by they're cooking up wicked things, because they're just creating all kinds of horrors, whatever they're doing over there.
Well, I think Kai is the only one that can identify them. Don't do the necklaces of Merkel. We
Yeah.
might just burn those. But
Yeah. That sounds fair.
they hurt to touch.
Okay.
Yeah.
And I pull out this big ol', or not big ol', I have a small bag of demon ash that I haven't had the chance to offload yet.
I will take that. More bullets. Thank you.
And then
Maybe
while
I'll
she's
come up
doing
with potions too from that. I'll have to see.
nice, while she's
I'm
doing
gonna
that,
play with that
awesome. I'm gonna look at the
some point.
dead dragon body.
It's not here yet.
Ah, damn.
It's probably going to be a minute. I mean, that thing was pretty big, even if it was blown halfway to hell.
It's more about how many
Maybe-
pieces that it's in is the bigger problem.
Ew.
It's a long way down.
It had featherfall cast on it.
Apollo's going to look at the hammers.
Okay. The same thing that I described to Derek, he kind of points out to you as well.
Let's kind of see if I can just make an Arcana check on them. Kind of
Go for
figure
it.
out what they are.
Go for it.
Given my knowledge, I'm pretty sure I know exactly what they are.
They are
20.
death, destruction,
20.
and despair.
30, 20. You're not really sure what they are. They definitely appear to be magically imbued. It's their darkened nature. It's their overall feeling of, there's a sense that whatever these things are, in the hands of these Dragonborns, they probably know their full potential. But there's always, you're willing to wield one, attune to it, find out what it does.
I'm just going to say a hard no on that scenario.
Yeah, I'm just gonna be like,
let anything that dangerous into my body. Thank you.
just be like, magic people. What does this do? What does this do?
Yeah, let's just imbue ourselves with the powers of those evil monsters that we just killed.
Yes, always.
Nothing could go wrong. Nah, nothing could go wrong.
Yeah.
I'll leave the
Perfect
identification to Kai and Arena real quick, and then
Yeah,
let them figure out what to do with this stuff.
I'll whip out all of my stuff, my alchemy supplies, all my things, go sit in a corner with my back to the room and ignore everybody while I identify.
Well, yeah, not only that, but
Anything
you're kind
you
of
guys want.
you're kind of
but
in your
yeah,
favorite
I've got the
space
ring.
within Fort Chimera. You're you're in the lab.
Yep.
This lab has
Yeah.
always been your
home's
favorite
away
place
from
to be.
home. Yeah. Yep.
Out of curiosity, do I have a room here?
Everybody
of course
does.
you have a room here.
Yeah.
Ooh, where
we
is
saved
that
your
at?
room.
I even set it up with a place for Dudley in his full-grown state.
I would like to see that.
I will show you your room.
So, because no one's really seen this place, it's the first time you've been able to kind of give everybody a tour. Walking everybody up, with the exception of Kai, who is busy in
who's been here.
in the lab, and she's overly familiar with
yeah.
it. So as I describe it, this would be common knowledge to Kai as well. The first floor is the common space. All of it is pretty much designed specifically to support a small garrison of Chimera Company of about 50. There's guard rooms, supply stations. There's also a place you watch as Mike High Moon walks by and smiles and waves at everybody. He's still got a bit of a bandage on his face from where he took some previous injuries the previous day. But he is dealing with the kitchen, the dining area. And all of that's been purposely designed in a way to kind of entertain and use it as an option to have people over, whether it's Brackus or Lord Silverhand, any other influential members of the community. It's been designed in such a way that for those of you who have meetings or have discussions with others here, it's definitely noticeable and it's definitely impressive to look upon. Down here actually is a section that you refer to as the zoo. And this leads you out to the back portion of Fort Chimera, where a now young adult or youngish Oliphant can be seen off in the distance. It clearly survived the calamity of that night. Other of the rams are here, more than you remember, as the Plains Orcs had left behind more mounts to augment Ivar's Templars, as well as Chimera Company, and bolster up cavalry units. She then finishes taking all of you around the first floor. There's studies, small libraries.
We'd also have the basilisks.
There are a handful of basilisks that could be seen out back of this section. Taking a look at the study, the library, the sitting rooms, and everything, is very much designed for comfort. It's a little bit messy and destroyed from all the individuals that were crammed into this space that came here to hide. Most of those refugees and survivors have been kind of ushered out and back towards Whist proper. It's the second story that kind of holds the most interesting portion of Fort Chimera. Corner of each parts of the building are egresses up to three-story battlements and towers. The outside area, it has access points to the second floor parapets that allow people to walk, stand on guard. Currently, some of the Chimera Company are here maintaining their normal patrol and watch duty that they're expected to do. It's the rooms. Everybody has their own private room, but attached to each private room is a private sitting room. But like the Chimera Mercantile, in the very center of the space is the continuing kind of tradition of the massive common space that you guys can all meet, discuss, eat meals, do research, have, plan, plot. And this space is very much well received with heavy storage compartments of furniture, tables, chairs, map tables, cartography equipment, labs, there's like little pockets of labs here designed to give you access to things to help you study, investigate, or examine things as well. Probably the most interesting thing is the relic that has been given back to Arena. You watch as she pulls a cord in the middle of the room, and you watch this massive orb begin to descend from the center of the space, and it begins to pulse and magically glow and cast off a massive projection into the room. It's the old world map that you had retrieved from the Pim ruins some long time ago. It's a gift by Tamlin to Arena. This has become a kind of impromptu war room and discovery room when major things need to be discussed or influenced or potentially decisions need to be made. Others may come here and freely discuss among everybody. For all of you here, you begin to realize for the first time the one thing that Arena has been practicing for the better part of 4 or 5 months is influence and impression and control and organization. Like an orderness about all of this feels refined and done in such a way that maybe this is where your new residence should be. There's so much more to offer here. There's more equipment. There's more laboratory space. You have your own blacksmith
I set it up.
in adjacent to the fort, on top of a fairly robust company of heavily trained and dangerous individuals of the Chimera Company.
How many people are in the company?
Well, total the
I'm asking Arena.
Oh, okay.
Oh man, you're gonna. I have to look back through my notes.
I'm putting you on the spot.
Put me on the
Oof.
spot.
Let's
Come
see
on,
them
party
note
leader.
taking skills.
Notes.
In Chimera's garrison is 150.
Used to be.
That's just in Chimera's.
That's
That's not the towns.
Whatever's left of them.
Yeah, whatever's left.
Say-
Yeah, and I'll say at
Let's
some
see.
point you would have received, as part of the messaging from Vimac, that of the garrison of 150, there's at least 105 left.
Okay.
The bulk of the garrison is split amongst Whist, the Fort Chimera, and the patrols that are being sent out. However, the remaining 125 in Traverton have not been recalled or brought up. There wasn't enough time to bring them up.
Yeah.
So the Traverton garrison is still pretty much left intact.
Okay.
So that's 210, roughly.
Yeah.
You guys are all in the common space. It's moving on to late afternoon. What would you guys like to do?
Something else I wanted to do. I gotta remember.
After looking at my room, I suppose I'll go downstairs and help with the cleanup effort.
Okay.
And I'll also put my hand to the ground and use my... Where is it? My primal awareness to see if I can get a feel for if where Elathane is, if she's around, or maybe if Wilson had managed to contact her or anything like that.
Yeah, you reach out. No response from Wilson. No response from the Dryad.
Oh.
You're not really sure why, but Wilson said he'd get back to you as soon as he could figure out where she was. But currently she's not nearby or within your spatial awareness of your ability.
Okay. Yeah, so I'll just spend my time cleaning up, getting things sorted out.
Okay.
Maybe taking a look at the finance, because I have around 4 to 5 months worth of, pay that I haven't collected.
Yeah, I mean, at this point, you get the feeling that money will never be a worry again. What you do with the wealth is the only thing you got left to do. As Arena begins to summarize the vast amount of wealth that was being traded, the massive expansion of not only Whist, but some of the other outlying communities and towns where she has smaller general goods stores that are beginning to open up in those as well. There doesn't seem to be a limit to what she's been getting involved in.
Pretty much everything.
Yeah.
I mean, I put together 82 workshops between alchemy, leatherworking, pottery, 4 different blacksmiths. Yeah. The
Head
trades, the
steelworks,
trades with
yeah.
Mudknocker, the trades with,
Plains
Frostburr,
Orcs,
the trade,
Frostburr.
Well,
opening trades with the Plains Orcs.
the agreements with the Plains Orcs are about to come due in the next week or so. Roughly a herd of about 600 of the goat mounts will be coming in for trade.
Yes.
You got.
Man, I forgot I had that. Holy
This is a
shit.
small area.
As
I mean, it's not really that small.
as you kind of all linger, you hear a cough, and you look over to see one of the Chimera Company guards looking at Arena, Gulshaw, and Apollo. Beg your pardon, miss. I didn't mean to disturb you. It just occurred to me. We've got those 5 Dragonborn locked up down below. What do you want us to do with them?
Which Dragonborn?
The ones that showed up at the Chimera right before all this nonsense happened.
Right.
Vimax seemed insisted that they be put under arrest after we found them.
Well, they were involved in that.
That's exactly what I was wanting to go and look for. That was what. Yeah. Thank you.
Well,
that's what I was
I'll go
trying to
with you.
remember. That is, Callista is saying that is what I was trying to remember. Okay. So, yes, thank you. Let's go see them.
Take you down to the holding cells then.
Yes.
You said Goshaw was with us as well?
Correct.
Yeah, Gulshaw's there.
Yeah,
but
Derek has wandered off to go and help with the cleanup. Kai is down in the laboratory doing research. Belev is still out and about. You're not really sure where he is.
Yeah, because Gulshaw didn't see any of his rooms yet either until just now. So
Yeah, it was the first time anyone's
y'all
had
just got back.
Yeah.
Alright, let's go intimidate these Dragonborn.
No, we don't have to intimidate them. They came for help.
Oh, I thought they were the evil ones.
No,
we killed
the evil
them.
ones are dead. We just looted their bodies.
I don't
Dang.
believe so. But
These
let's go
guys came
talk to
for
them.
help.
So following
I
the
sent-
guard down into the
Yeah.
holding pens, you pass by Kai's lab. She's busy at work, identifying, working her potions and other things. The 3 of you make your way through a corridor. A heavy iron door is opened. You're brought into a very small space. 3 or 4 cages, max, heavily locked. A guard stands at the far end of the opposite wall, kind of nods. If you'd like, me and my mate can stay here, or we could give you privacy. What would you prefer?
Privacy's fine.
We'll be right outside the door then.
Okay.
Just
Thank you.
yeah, then we'll come.
Thank you.
They kind of nod at you, kind of pick up on their little bit of awkwardness.
Gulshaw, did you want them here?
No.
Okay.
As you look through the cages, there's 5 Dragonborn here. There's 2 in one, 2 in another, and 1 off by themselves. You recognize the male Dragonborn as the one that had come in initially and requested aid and had information.
There were 6 of them.
There's currently 5.
Right. Okay. So, yeah.
As you walk into the space, the one male Dragonborn leans into the bar and looks at you. You've been able to find my wife.
I didn't know that you guys were here. I will look for her.
Well, we were in the inn next door to the Chimera Mercantile. We did our best. I'm sorry that things happened the way they happened. I assure you, our intent was only ever to ask for aid. I have no idea where those creatures came from. Just not another interrogation. I don't know if me and my friends can handle that. He kind of gives you a weird, kind of confused smile.
I'm not laughing. I mean, Arena's not laughing.
Well, he's quite terrified
Yeah.
to look at you because what he saw prior to the battle
Oh,
and what
God.
he's seeing now has him very confused.
Yep.
Oh,
Yep. Arena's not
Mhm.
offering any explanations to anybody that doesn't need it.
Mm-mm.
Fair enough.
Mm-mm.
Uh,
She's not. She's just.
Are they?
she's
Do they have
not.
clothes on?
Nope.
Yeah,
They have
They're not
simple
naked, right?
attire on what they came in. Very simple cloaks, simple tunics,
I mean,
breech
apparently they
clothes.
don't look like they've been altered like the ones we were fighting.
No, definitely do not physically
they
look
look-
like the two that you have in the laboratory nearby.
And they had necklaces that hid their true selves. Is there stuff on the table outside of the bars?
Correct. Which is why you're now seeing
Okay.
them in their full Dragonborn form and not
Right.
their human forms that they took.
Where would your wife go?
I don't know. All I know is that when those creatures attacked, he was taken away by the swarm. For all I know, she could be dead.
Oh, no.
She was taken by the shit.
Where did you
Um,
come from?
The north. The deep north.
Wait, was Gulshaw here when they came? When they showed up before? He was, wasn't he?
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Just getting all the info back.
Right.
Would she still be in a human form?
It's a good question.
Or-
If her necklace is intact, it could be. But if she is unconscious, the necklace would revert her to her true form. I just worry that
It only works when she's conscious.
yes, I'm worried that if
Okay.
she is in her true form, people may not know who she is and think the worst.
Guards,
Do you know which way she was being carried off towards?
It's not that she was being carried off, it's just the mass swarm entered into the inn and it came through and took everybody that was in there. I managed to stay
Separated.
with my the other members of my family, but we just don't know what happened to her, to be honest with you. You watch as the iron door opens, the two guards come in. Yes, sir.
get a message to my men, have them search the area around the tavern, right? Tavern.
Around the inn.
The inn.
Chimera Inn.
Bring back any Dragonborn bodies that are seen, and also, if there's a Dragonborn alive, escort it back here.
Yes,
Do
sir.
not kill it.
They both quickly leave. You hear, you say, I'll deliver the message. And the door shuts, and you can hear heavy male boots heading up to the above section.
Should we have not let them know that it could possibly be in a human?
No, if she's
Or with
human,
the
I don't
human
want her.
form?
I'm gonna try and scry for her.
Oh, that's right, because you would have been reasonably familiar.
With what she looked like normal and what she looked like not normal.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, both. And I have it prepared.
Yeah.
No.
You kind of, the Dragonborn looks at you strangely as you kind of lose focus and begin to concentrate on something. Kind of mumble to yourself. For Apollo and Gulshaw, you recognize this effect, although it looks kind of a little bit more sinister in the form she's in now, with those solid black eyes as she begins to focus with her scry ability. There is the description that matches Dragonborn. It's not human anymore. It seems to be frantically running through a forested area and is being chased by something.
And I see what she's being chased by.
As your third eye turns to look, there's a remnant of harpies chasing her down. There's at least a dozen of them, and they're gaining.
Get a sense of which direction they are.
Give me a nature check. Actually, give me survival, because you're looking at this forested area.
Survival. Oh, I'm better at that. That is cocked. That's a 14 plus 8.
It's definitely the western
22.
Yeah, it's definitely the Western Wood. About a mile or so outside of Whist is the beginning edge of the Western Wood that will take you up towards the hills and the mountain ranges. You get the
Are we
feeling
on the
that
northern side of town?
you are in the southeast side of Whist. You're about
So it's
a
on the east
mile or two outside of the southeast section of Whist, where you're getting the feel she might be in because you recognize some of the forest is
Mhm.
the western edge of the forest outside of Whist.
Well, Shaw, how fast is your carpet?
I kept up with the dragon.
Let's go. I know where she is.
Oh,
Good.
Alright.
Sorry. Go ahead.
are you going to?
We're
join
running.
us?
Let's run. Let's go. Fast.
All
There's
right.
not enough room on the carpet for both Apollo and I.
Is there?
Well, if
No.
it's just, well, yeah.
I mean, you and me,
It's like
the
4
three of
by
us?
7 feet or something like that.
Right,
I
but
mean-
we have to bring back her. Okay. Apollo, you
you
want to come
probably
too?
wouldn't be able to bring Ghost unless you put him in the necklace.
Ghost, you ready to go in the necklace?
I suppose. I really hate that place even more now, but okay.
Do you want me to make it darker?
Yeah, that would be good. Thank you.
Okay. I make it suit him.
Okay. Ghost is now in your necklace. Apollo, Golshaw, and Arena, you quickly run up out the main doors into the front courtyard. You watch as Golshaw rips out the carpet. All of you jump on it. He invokes it.
Let's run fast, go.
And
fast.
the carpet
Fast
begins to
as we
head
can.
off towards the western.
Oh, I tell the Dragonborn, I'm gonna try and get her.
Not again.
Not in a bad way. I don't say it in a mean way. Although it might be really hard to not say it in a mean way, looking like I look. We're gonna save her.
And as you, the three of you run out, you hear one of the other Dragonborn go, "They're gonna eat it for sure. Did you see that one?" And then the door closes.
Okay.
You guys are now heading off towards the western edge of the forest.
As
Yeah.
fast as that thing
Yeah.
can fly us.
Derek, you look up
Yeah.
to see the carpet zoom right over you, heading towards the western edge of the forest. No sign of Valev. Kai,
Just gonna leave me here?
what are
Guys.
what are you currently working on, Kai?
I am working on, well, I started with the ring because that was the most interesting to me, but then I know other people gave me other things. So.
Okay.
Yes.
So you managed to decipher the ring, and it is heavily cursed. You begin to
Oh, goody.
realize, even though it stores spells, it will sap your life when you initiate and invoke it. It does store up to 5 level 3 spells, but every time it's used, it'll take a DC, take a con save to minimize the damage or take full damage. The curse
Okay.
will take 3d12 hit points from you every time
Wow.
you use a spell storing slot.
Okay.
5 slots of level 3.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
The 2 hammers, definitely
Okay.
magical in nature. They both seem to have a kind of chaotic, sentient nature about them. The coalescing smoke and animated effect of screaming visages on the heads of the hammer, definitely you begin to realize these hammers are cursed as well. One hammer is
Oh.
called the Widow, and the other hammer is called the Maker. They were forged specifically for these 2 Dragonborn because of their adept use and their resilient constitution to wield such things. As you examine these things, I need you to make a wisdom save, please.
Oh, crap.
Goody. I love this. This is what happens when you guys hand me cursed things. At least I can't hurt anybody else.
Hey, don't give him ideas.
Yeah. Well,
Yeah,
you
like
guys
I
aren't
need
with
ideas,
me.
huh?
Yeah, you said wisdom save, right?
Yes.
Whatever you thought of, he's
Yeah.
thought of 50
Oh
different ways.
God, why? Why am I rolling so bad for that? That's a 6.
Flash of genius! Flash of genius!
Well,
that
that
work?
only gives me 11. Yeah, I can do that, but I don't think 11's gonna pass, so I'm not gonna waste it.
Wisdom.
It's not gonna help me.
Okay.
I'll take it. What's the damage I get from those hammers?
Let's assuming it's damage.
Yeah, oh God.
As
Hurt this
you
guy too.
look at these two weapons, you hear a voice in your head. This is not the one we're made for, Maker. No, Widow.
Uh-oh.
It's definitely not the one we're made for. Perhaps we could make her for us.
Oh no.
Weak willed is this one. You watch as a translucent kind of energy pops out of one of the hammer. It takes this weird kind of tendril-like form. You feel this like cold smoke caress underneath your chin. Ah, this one has the smell of home, Maker. You watch as the other tendril-like energy comes out of the other one. Ah, this one has the smell of one that knows what it means to wield power. Perhaps we could make the same promises to this one, Widow.
Oh.
You watch as these two coalescing energies begin to kind of move about you. You feel the cold tendrils of smoke begin to go up into your nostrils. For a moment, you feel this intense, vigorous sense of unlimited power. Like if you wanted to, you could simply take the world as it is and run it the way you see fit. Much power in this one. I feel she would benefit from us, Maker. Aye, Widow. This one would make a good vessel. You feel the energy kind of pour out of your ears, your eyes, your mouth, and both the tendrils of smoke and arcane, necrotic-like visages kind of float around either side of you. But I think we shall see. I think we shall see what this one is capable of, shall we? Maker? Yes, Widow. They're just puppets. Let's just see what this one can do. You watch as the one called Widow goes back into your being and you lose all sense of control. You are now wielding both hammers in each hand. You can hear some screaming and yelling, some confusion. As you
You're
watch
killing my people.
as you watch a guard
Oh no.
come in, pushing in the 5 Dragonborn. The guard's eyes are blacked and blotted out. The guard mouths the familiar voice of Maker. Well, Widow, we should
Does
see
she
what
get another save?
we should see what she could do. Hey, Maker, let's start with these. And you just feel this intense psychic pain, this push, this unnatural feeling of hate, violence, and murder as you begin to
no.
descend into a madness, and you're now ripping apart, destroying, breaking limbs, ripping heads from shoulders. Hammers come down, cleave through rib cages, sternums blast out. The guard stands there with its eyes blackened out, the strange kind of smile. Well, Maker, yes, Widow. This one truly has power. Shall we see what the others think? Oh, Maker, I think you are so correct. You feel all the energy kind of pour out of your body, and you immediately fall to your hands and knees. You feel vomit come out of your mouth. Suddenly, your memory is blank. You have no memory of what happened. Looking around this room, it is a butcher's yard, a nightmare of beheaded figures, Dragonborn torn to shreds, and a guard just staring at you with your hands deep in the blood of these creatures, the hammers on either side of your body. My lady, what have you done? And that's where we're going to finish tonight.
Oh,
Jesus
come on.
Christ.
Knew
Oh
it.
my god.
Knew that was coming.
We definitely got to have Valeth for that
Oh,
part.
no.
See how you guys can get her out of this mess.
Oh crap. Yeah.
Let's get the Dragonborn bodies. Let's check the Dragonborn bodies. You get.
It's like, I saw the hammers. I was like looking at the hammers. I knew the hammers were evil. I'm like,
I
I'm not
knew
gonna
there
fuck
was
with the
nothing
evil
on those
hammers.
bodies that
No.
we'd be able to use from Merkel. We should have just kicked them into the forest.
Yeah, that would have just
But
let
you
them
guys
be used by
gave
somebody
them
else.
to Kai.
I mean, these
so,
are
yeah,
these are
we should've
very
heard 'em.
powerful necrotic creatures that worship and fear Merkel. I mean,
oh my god.
everything they bear is based on what Merkel has given them. So I was a little surprised that you guys got excited about looting these bodies. I thought for sure a little bit of
I thought for sure they'd have gold on
I
them or
walked away
something.
with nothing, so I was completely fine just leaving it, letting sleeping dogs lie.
Yeah. Well,
that was great. Well,
I
hey
just
everybody,
wanted
thank
to look at
you
the ring.
so much for
those would be
joining
some
us.
good hammers for Arena when she gets them.
Yeah.
Yeah, there we go.
She
Bet
could
she might
certainly
go murder
tame.
hobo on us.
She could certainly tame Widow and the Maker for sure.
Yeah, exactly. She'll
What's
be like,
I
my
don't
what's
think
my
I
my
will.
wisdom?
bitches.
Hey everybody,
my
thank you
wisdom's
for
pretty high.
joining, and we've got a new
Mine's +2.
new member of our Discord as well tonight. So thank you for that.
Yay.
As
Yay.
always, join our Discord. Take advantage of our one-shot Thursdays that we run every other week, where you can join and be live with us on Twitch. And hey, you know what? Build that character you've never gotten to build before. We're currently doing level 20s right now. We got a level 20 one-shot coming up Thursday. And then in 2 weeks from that, we'll have another level 20 one-shot coming up. I may run that a couple times because, testing out a level 20 build's got to be fun. See what you can do at max tier. Other than that, hang out in our Discord. Come and join us tomorrow night for Denizens and Masters. Wednesday night is the Descendants. We were off last Wednesday because of some conflicting schedules. And then obviously Thursday we have the one shot. Friday, Age of Arcanum, which you'll see Ivar again there. He plays in that one. As Zephora, the sneaky little Yanti with absolutely no people skills. And then Sunday night, Debtor's Gambit, where we're neck deep in some pretty serious conspiracy piratey shit. That's about, basically Debtor's Gambit is about the formation of the Revelry and the founding of Darktoe and the First Plank King. So if you're into the Wildmont lore and want to come hang out with that game, Sunday night, 7 to 10. Other than that, thanks to everybody for coming out. And hey, as I always say, stay safe, be kind, play a game. You'll love it. I promise you. Good night, everybody.
Night.
Night.
Goodbye.
Bye.